Disc golf first came to the grounds of Winthrop University in 1992 with the installation of the lakefront course designed by Innova co-founder Harold Duvall. Since that day, it's grown into a venue that has hosted more PDGA majors than any other course in the world. The inception of the United States Disc Golf Championship and Women's National Championship was in 1999, and our inaugural champions were two legends in the sport of disc golf. On the men's side, the first event was won by Ken Climo, and the Women's National Championship was taken by our commentator for this week, Juliana Korver. In 22 years of PDGA major competition, the Winthrop Gold Course has stood the test of time. It features some of the most iconic and challenging holes anywhere in disc golf, and for me, there are three that stand out above the rest. Hole 5, the big par 5 along Winthrop Lake the entire distance. The beauty of this one for me, you're gonna have to get aggressive at some point if you wanna make birdie, and players do that in all kinds of ways. You see everything from full max distance rollers off the tee to more conservative placement tee shots on the second. How close are you gonna push it to that water's edge to set up your third crossing shot? No matter where you do it, it's still gonna be substantial, 200 to 300 feet over water to the green. And then if you can make that putt and walk away with 4, there's no player in the world that'll be disappointed with that. Hole 17, the most famous island hole in the world. After the long walk from the basket of 16, you get all the way up here and you have to stick it on this island to have any chance of taking home the win. That final day, this hole has ruined some dreams and it's allowed some champions to walk to 18 without much stress, and it's all about just getting safe. But if you need a birdie, this hole becomes very, very difficult. The pin can be tucked into the corner. You can play to the fat side of the green and go to the right. You're gonna make a par, but if you really need that birdie score to get yourself in contention, this is a really, really nervy shot. Perfect speed required to not find that water or come short at the hay bales. Hole 18, teeing off above Winthrop Lake on the dock. Sharply uphill to start with out of bounds on both sides, but I think the drive is probably the easiest part. You've got waiting for you after you find that landing zone, one of the touchiest upshots and without a doubt, the most scary putt on the entire course with the sloped green and the elevated basket. For the fortunate few who can make that putt on day 4 and raise the trophy, it's gonna be a moment in time and a place that they will never forget.
Hello everyone. Welcome to day 2 here at the Women's National Championship at Winthrop University. I'm Hannah Macbeth, joined again in studio by 5-time PDGA World Champion Juliana Korver. Juliana, you looked great there on the coverage.
That was a long time ago, thank you.
It looked much colder than Kenny's shot, I will say that.
It was very chilly. We played in the morning, yes, it was cold.
Well, Juliana and I are all smiles because we cannot wait to see the action unfold today, and I know that's why you all are here. Yesterday, what an incredible show. Paige Pierce, 10 down, 100% from circle 1, putting for birdie the most amount of times, 100% from the circle. Just incredible golf. The only thing, her fairway percentage, 3rd overall for the event. I know that has something to do with coming off of the fairway, as we saw a lot of actually from our lead card yesterday.
Actually, we didn't have a single player that didn't card OB strokes yesterday. That's one of the main things about this course. It's very hard to keep it between the lines. The average number of penalty strokes by the field yesterday was 6.2. There were 6 competitors who had 10 or more penalty strokes. The fewest number of penalty strokes for any of the competitors was just 2. So none of the players made it through unscathed.
And in looking to Paige Pierce, just to compare her stats to the field, we see young up-and-comer Heather Young, no play on words there, that is her last name, 14th in parked percentage for the day yesterday, and comparison to Paige Pierce, who was 1st overall for parked percentage. Heather doesn't have the distance, but wow, she knows how to close out a hole, going 92% from circle 1, putting her 3rd overall after her first round. Katrina Allen also having one heck of a day. The fairway goddess is, of course, 1st in fairway hits, 91%, 2nd in birdie, and unfortunately, though, in that putting, still having some trouble. We saw her make some incredible ones, but still not the best. She'll only be 80% from circle 1, putting her down in 12th as compared to the field. And then, of course, we have our New Yorker, Missy Gannon, coming in just under the radar, but sliding up onto that lead card today. I'm excited to see her play. playing with brand new discs, new plastic this year, a new sponsorship for her, only her second time competing on tour, or what little tour there might have been this year. Missy Gannon is looking to take down her first major ever.
It's another beautiful day here. There's barely any wind. It's nice and warm. Of course, there's dew on the grass because we're starting early, but I expect that scores are going to be just as good as yesterday, if not better.
I got to agree with you there. It really feels like Groundhog Day. It's the same all over again, but how are the nerves? Day 2, your second time ever calling women's golf. How did you enjoy yesterday?
My nerves. Well, they're still there. But I feel like I can do this, and I hopefully will show you that once again.
Oh, sure. I have no doubts in you. Well, let's check in with our chase card over on hole number 2. Sarah Holcomb coming off of a great year up in New England, taking down the main state championships and then heading over to New Hampshire and taking that one down as well. Callie McMorran's a new face to the tour. This is her second time on tour. Hails out of Tennessee. These women are doing exactly what you advised them to do yesterday. Maybe they saw the coverage a little bit, but just getting it up, and sometimes that first shot is a bit easier, but the most important, just getting it up and onto the fairway in a place where you can continue to attack and attack well.
The only thing you need to do on that drive is get past that last tree on the right, a little bit of a low ceiling, so punch it underneath there and you will be fine for your approach.
Oh, good window.
Yeah.
Didn't even see that one.
That's the one you have to hit.
Seeing lots of new women coming out on tour this year, especially from the Tennessee area. Heather Young representing Knoxville, Tennessee. She's rated 948. And you're going to notice if she's on the lead card tomorrow, which hopefully she'll compete well today and will be, she always wears purple. Every sister got her own color when they started playing disc golf for clothes and discs, so they wouldn't get them all mixed up. And she chose purple, so here we are. She said in an interview with Prodigy, if it doesn't come purple and it can't be dyed, she's got to replace it.
I think Heather is the lone lefty in the division, which could help her on this course.
Interesting to see what Sarah Holcomb will play here. She's a bit out of position on the fairway. It's okay, there's a lot of golf left, and if anyone knows what to do, it's her.
And this is a par 4 that she's on, so she doesn't need to be aggressive here. She just needs to keep it in the fairway.
I love the brief pause when she drives.
I don't know if that's going to come back. From this angle, I can't tell if that's in the parking lot or if it's short of the parking lot.
It looked okay to me, but it's always hard to tell. That's why we have something called internet distance, which is we don't want to encourage that. So we'll just wait and see what UDisc has to say. If you're joining us this morning, we want to welcome you to the broadcast. You can follow along with the live scoring if you can't watch with us here on udisclive.com. See Paige filling out her paper scorecard. Every competitor was given one at the start of the round this morning. Only one will be turned in at the end of the day. Yesterday in her post-round interview, Paige admitted she isn't one to sit still, and that was true even in her off-season. The pro traveled to 10 different countries, got to share disc golf with new people all throughout Europe, and rang in the new year in Croatia. So, probably the coolest person I have ever met in my life.
Oh shit, really?
All right, ladies, just a couple of minutes to go.
It's a bit different than
gentle reminder of social distancing best you can out there on the floor.
Bit different than I think what we're used to seeing from all of the women who have come before her. I'm not sure. I'm not sure Val was traveling to Croatia to ring in the new year with Nate. Maybe Sweden.
Well, disc golf is flourishing in Europe, so it might not have been available for the women before Paige to go.
Have you made it out there yet?
I have not been to Croatia. I have been to Europe a number of times, but actually more often for freestyle than for disc golf.
You really just made you stand in the bushes.
They made me. I was sitting
Missing
here
in
lining
into the
up.
left, repping a Team Discraft hat. The pro is 949 rated, representing Cold Spring, New York. She became a PDG member in 2016 and then turned pro in 2017. Just like that. One surprising stat that I noticed in reviewing her round yesterday was just her low circle one percentage. Missy is a PDGA putting world champion. She went 83% from the circle, 7th overall. And I really think it all has to do with that position you give yourself on the approach.
Well, remember there are a lot of sloping greens, so she might have had a lot of scary putts looking out over the...
5-time women's world champion and 3-time United States women's champion, Paige Pierce.
Hole 1, 249 feet, par 3. She didn't hang that out quite enough to the left.
Women's amateur champion,
She'll easily be able to get a par
2012
from
United
there,
States
though.
women's champion, and 2014 women's world champion, Katrina Allen.
Katrina Allen, 982 rated, representing Pipestone, Minnesota. Turned pro in 2011 and took down a world championship in 2014.
This looks like a better line. Just going to have a little bit of an obstruction
Heather Young.
behind that bush, but at least she's got to look at the basket.
Sometimes I wonder if there's some sort of gravitational pull coming from that bush, the way it just absorbs discs.
I think it's actually hard to get a sidearm to turn that quickly in this particular one.
Heather Young finding herself out of position on the first drive, but par 3 on a 249-foot hole. She should be able to scramble, hopefully to save par.
She's in good position. She is putting downhill slightly.
And we are on our way into round 2, the Women's National Championships. Juliana, what is this walk like? What are you thinking when you're walking to your first drive? How are you maintaining your composure here?
Well, day 2 is a little bit easier than day 1. You've already got your feet wet. You already know what it's going to be like. You are relieved that you've got your first drive out there, even if it wasn't as good as you wanted it to be. You know, you're still, it started, now we're into it, now let's just go do this.
Right. Pillar? What pillar? Heather Young finding herself out of position. Looks like she has a window there. She's looking to attack.
Can't tell how much she's going to need to curve this.
There she was on the right earlier shot.
Don't think she cleared that.
Heather Young has played 10 events this year and only finished outside of that top 10 once. Was at Disc Golf Pro Tour Idlewild Open in Kentucky, and she took 11th. So she is no stranger to having to scramble in a little wooded area.
Okay, that was a nice shot.
That was a great shot from Heather.
So it's okay not to get a par, or not to get a birdie on hole 1. Hole 1 is getting the nerves out. They just call your name, representing your state. But it does hurt to get that bogey.
Katrina Allen looking to have a nicer start to the day. She did start off bogey yesterday, and she's lined herself up with a birdie putt from circle 1.
Yeah, you're in the bush.
That one?
Yep, yep.
So probably leave another one. Possibly, yeah. Down? Oh, I see, yeah,
Katrina Allen did roll into that bush just a little bit. She'll be having to straddle, but she's had a lot of success. I've been paying attention to her on tour this year. She's haven't had a lot of success with the straddle. This is a bit trickier than I think she wanted, but as you said, nothing wrong with walking away with a par here. Should she miss this putt?
She is below the basket, so this is going to take some strength. When she's going down to that knee, it's really going to take strength to get the disc up high enough to get in the basket.
And you have to know that that's exactly what I was just going to allude to. You have to know she's thinking about the risks and the rewards, and that was her choosing the reward and not, or choosing to just ignore the risk and play for par.
It was a low percentage putt from there, and the consequences could have been pretty bad if it had hit and rolled.
Missy Gannon looking to bring herself under par with this birdie putt.
Well, her mind said yes, but her body said no.
Missy said her confidence does come from practice, and when she misses, she knows exactly what she did wrong, and she can address it right away, whether it's 15 feet or 45 feet or a death putt on hole 1 at a major. I'm sure she will take that as a wake-up call, and we'll see her make some more throughout the day.
Once again, hole 1 proves to be slightly more difficult than it looks like it will be.
Sometimes I find just laying up and staying in control of your game also does more for your confidence and your momentum.
I agree. That was Sarah Hookham's drive on hole 3.
Here's Kona.
And it's fine to fade over to the right. It's maybe not the most pleasant and open shot, but there is no penalty on that side.
Asking for it to get down. This really is the first shot of the day where you've got to have that nose angle control and also that touch, and if you don't, you're going to be penalized.
Here's hole 2, 534 feet, par 4. The initial shot is right up the middle with either a forehand or a backhand. A roller is a good option as well, but it's the second shot on this hole that is more critical, with OB parking lot coming into play no matter which route you choose. There's plenty of danger around the basket with a road, parking lot, and fence making the out-of-bounds lines, as well as the protective pillars right up the pin.
Oh, the pillars. We saw some of those pillars give our women some grief on the putting green yesterday, and
Well, we saw the chase card tapping in their putts, and I'm guessing that some of those putts were that close because they simply laid up because of the pillars.
Paige seeming to line up a roller here.
Tells me she's going to attempt the birdie on this hole. I think she probably got in front of that, so she'll be just fine and she can still get a birdie from there.
Yesterday she did mention if she's out of position, she will not go for it on the front 9. She just wants to stick to clean golf. She went against her game plan once yesterday and carded the only bogey for the day.
Using all of the height available on that low ceiling.
It's a great shot from Katrina Allen. Missy Gannon taking her time. I love to see that.
That's a great position.
That's something Katrina noted about these younger pros, maybe not in age, but perhaps in experience, just their ability to take their time, walk off a putt if something distracts you, reset, go through your game plan. She said she was absolutely blown away by just the mental strength and maturity it takes to do something like that, to feel comfortable doing something like that. I think sometimes women are tempted when they're playing with the best to hurry up and feel sort of out of place.
That was a very good shot by Heather. She's out in the open. That's all you need to have a nice approach.
Owens Goggins has continued to move herself up the leaderboard. She's currently 2 over for the event. She carded the birdie on hole number 3 and has moved up tied for 6th. We're also seeing Vanessa Van Dyken move up after carding 2 birdies so far today. I suspect we'll see lots of movement, but what I was wondering, Juliana, is will we see these women be a bit more aggressive, or on day 2 will they just continue to preserve and not give strokes away? How does Winthrop play when you're in that position?
I think they'll be aggressive in a different manner. I think in order to have a good line and stay in between the lines, you need to be aggressive, but perhaps disc down so you are throwing something that doesn't tail off right or left at the end. and you need to throw a strong shot to keep that line. So I think they probably all went home last night and thought about ways in which they can stay between the lines.
I knew that. Okay. Yeah, I already knew that.
It's a good shot from Paige Pierce. Just keep it in bounds.
Yep, not trying to do too much when she had a restricted footing there.
I like to say everyone has a too much gene. And it comes out in certain ways. Sometimes I think Paige Pierce's comes out on the fairways when she just is feeling her game, and to see her hold back a little bit and to just maintain pace is, I mean, I'm very proud of her in this moment.
I agree with that. This year I have seen her lay up a couple of things that I wouldn't have guessed that she would do, and I think that does take a level of maturity.
I love that play from Heather Young,
That's
keeping
perfect.
it nice and low.
Yep. She didn't give it a chance to go OB. The line was great, and it was not going to get a lot of ground play being that flat.
Missy Gannon has had several top 10 finishes at Disc Golf Pro Tour events as well.
So this is an interesting shot. Backhand over the OB. She's got to swing it wide enough that it doesn't
That's an
land in the
unfortunate
parking lot. I
hit.
think she had the right line, but sometimes you don't see all of the potential obstacles. That was a small limb that unfortunately changed the trajectory of that flight.
And sometimes that's the risk that you go for in trying to pursue that reward. She knows she has to make up strokes on the rest of the field, and she wants to take down Paige and Katrina. And those are things that can happen when you try to get a bit aggressive. Winthrop will show its teeth or its iron leaves.
Here we have Kat doing a similar shot, throwing over the OB. I suspect she'll throw it fairly flat with a little bit of fade at the end, hopefully get close enough that the pillars aren't in her way.
Oh God, I did the same thing.
She wasn't happy with it, but she does stay safe.
And I love the ability to see the disc. I mean, I don't love it, but at the same time, as a viewer, I appreciate being able to see the disc move that much on the fairway. She hit that tree on the right, and it just slides. It just slides all the way to the other side of the fairway, closer to the OB, and I just held my breath for a second because it could potentially slide OB. And these fairways are tricky. There's no easy shots here at Winthrop.
No, you can't let up. You've got to be focused and aware of your surroundings at all times.
Paige Pierce throws her upshot, tries to get herself as close to the basket, does an excellent job.
Nice shot.
That's a good upshot as well. I like how she's taking the poles out of play by throwing a shot that will come away from them. It will finish away from them.
Yes, Heather's played this hole in a very smart fashion.
When checking the leaderboard, or I should say the rest of the cards out on the field right now through udisclive.com, we're seeing very clean play come in from that chase card. Kona, Panis, Sarah Holcomb, and Macy Walker all even through 3.
She gave it a good chance.
Comfortable and confident, Heather Young in for par. I love to see that from Heather and Missy, just staying in, and from Paige as well here, staying in their form, regardless of how close they are to the basket. It's all about repetitions. Not taking a single shot for granted.
Here's hole 3, 369 feet, par 3. The elevated tee makes this play closer to 300. There is hazard all along the left side and behind the pin. The key for a backhand is to control or minimize the fade to keep it straight and safe. Players can do that by throwing a slower disc, such as a mid-range or a fairway driver. A forehand is a good option off the tee as well. Such shots need to swing out wide enough to be thrown, or thrown flat enough they don't skip into the tree line.
Yesterday we saw Katrina grab one of the only birdies out of her feature card. Heather Young and Missy Gannon also able to card the birdie here yesterday during round 1. That's what you like to see when you're competing at Winthrop. Wind speed, 0 miles per hour. Absolutely beautiful out here.
For once, the conditions during the tournament are better than the conditions during the warm-up, although warm-up wasn't bad either.
The warm-up was pretty nice. I'm still interested, what time of year was that competition that you were competing in, that you were wearing a mitten and long pants and a long shirt?
Same time of year.
How about that? Here we have our leader, Paige Pierce, teeing off in short and tank top.
I suspect Paige is throwing a mid-range here.
It's great height. Well done. Good height. I suspect she may have wanted it to flip up and just hold that turned up line a bit longer so she would be closer to the basket,
Yeah,
but she is 100% from the circle, so I'm sure she's feeling ready to make her first big putt of the day for birdie.
I think she let go of that about 3 degrees too soon.
That is not turning up. Oh, that is going to be close. And the spotter is calling it in.
She's in. That's good. She also seemed to release that just a little bit early than she intended.
Do you think that's something to do with anticipation of the shot, or in your experience?
Possibly. It might be because they're throwing down. The one thing that always kind of got in my head on this hole is that you're throwing down, but there's some greenery right in front of you, and it doesn't come into play, but mentally it looks like I might throw into the greenery that's 10 feet in front of me.
That was an excellent shot by Heather Young. She seemed all too comfortable on that tee pad.
You know, it's quite possible with both Kat and Paige that they're worried about going long into the hazard. I like this.
She walked up on the tee at an angle that led me to believe she was going to throw an Anheuser, and she did release on that Annie line, but it wasn't as far left, I think. It's tough to throw that shot when you're sort of throwing it towards the OB, playing that it will fade away from the OB and then back to the basket.
Well, and it's often windy on this hole. You often have to worry about a left to right wind that's going to get underneath your disc, so you need to be very accurate on the angle and not show the bottom of the disc.
Taking it back to our chase card, here's Sarah Holcomb's drive on hole 4. Her second approach, she just has to make it around that Mando, and she does.
And it looks like she's far enough out that she's going to have a look at the basket.
As a forehand dominant player, she throws those angles incredibly well. And that is how you card a par on hole number 4, ladies and gentlemen. Sarah Holcomb is still even through the day. She has moved up 1 spot. She's currently tied for 4th with Missy Gannon, who is putting for birdie from circle 2, according to UDisc.
You can see just how wet the grass is in this shot. Take another hour or so for that to burn off.
Just in time for the Open division.
Historically, the wind would also come up in the afternoon. I don't think that's going to be the case today, but I would choose a wet disc over the wind on this course.
Oh, just barely misses the basket. Great effort. I love to see her take her time and give it a full effort.
Taking your legs out of the equation makes that putt much more difficult because most of your power comes from the lower half of your body.
Now Katrina is safe, but she'll have to play it from where her disc lies since this is a hazard. She'll be putting from circle 2 as well, slightly downhill. She got it up high enough, great line, just faded out left a bit too soon.
Yeah, another solid effort.
Yesterday, Paige felt her first putt of the day wasn't until hole 16. So she'll be getting in that first quote-unquote putt of the day much earlier today here on hole 3. This is Paige for birdie from circle 1. And a great effort and great result for Paige Pierce, putting herself at 11 under for the event.
Wanted to slip out the back. That last chain kept it in there.
Forget which pro it is. I think it might be Zoe Andyke who touches the basket and thanks the basket in moments like that.
I've thanked a basket or two in my days.
I know Barsby thanked a spotter yesterday for giving him a green flag here on hole 18. Let's see what's going on a hole number 4.
Hole 4 is 381 feet, par 4. There's a low ceiling tunnel shot straight off the tee. Position is important on this drive. You want to punch it out far enough so that you can easily throw around the Mando on your next shot, but not too far that you are beyond the bend of the fairway. Once past the big Mando tree, the fairway takes about a 120-degree turn back to the basket, which is almost completely surrounded by evergreens.
There have been 2 birdies on hole number 4 today. Ellen Widboom and Rebecca Cox. Ellen Widboom just carded a birdie on number 5 as well and is now tied for 6th, moving up 3 spots after 1 hole. That is how close the scoring is. Paige Pierce, however, has started inching herself further and further away from the competition. When she was asked about this, she said, with a lead and momentum coming into this event, and a lot of my competitors are going to try to be overly aggressive, and that's something that Winthrop shuts down. We've seen it today with Missy Gannon on hole 2.
Paige is out in the open. She'll have a sidearm around the Mando, though I think maybe a little bit past that is even better. Be able to take a hyzer around that Mando.
We really want to make all of you at home feel like you're here with us. So our cameramen have allowed some of the background noises to leak in. We promise we aren't playing those for your viewing pleasure.
More aggressive line. I like that, though I think she was about 6 feet too long. She's going to have the tree line in her way trying to get around that Mando. Maybe she can step out and still be able to flex around that Mando and have it fade back towards the basket.
Sound-wise, to me, it sounded like she just rushed a bit on the tee pads. These tee pads are new. The women are playing a forward tee. They are new and all the fibers are standing straight up. Sometimes that can affect your foot if you're not taking it into consideration. The last few pads these women have played, especially on hole 3, are the same as the open division, so it's not a new tee.
Right in the middle of the screen, you can see the circle around the basket. The basket is just a tiny dot in the middle of that circle of trees. Obviously, the opening is on the right side on the photo that you can see now.
Paige Pierce with her second shot. If you look to the left, you can see the Mando tree. She is looking to hit the left side of that tree, get herself far enough that she'll have a look for birdie or better. It's a great angle on that disc.
And I do think she will have a long, but at least she'll have a shot at the basket.
I love the angle control she had there. This is Paige's first year with new plastic as well. It's hard to believe because she's been so successful. She changed to Discraft this off-season. She was asked if she's throwing any plastic that she used to throw when she was sponsored by them several years ago. She said no, anything she doesn't use during that season gets sold and supports her tour. She's sort of a minimalist there, so I wish Paul would be just a bit more like that.
Oh, it's still hopefully going to give her, she's going to be behind that She should have an easy par, but I'm not sure that she's got a chance at a birdie. I think had she not hit that limb, she would have put herself into the opening. But again, you need to see the big picture. There are a lot of obstacles, a lot of potential issues on all of the throws.
Missy Gannon is finding herself out of position here. She does still need to clear this Mando. This is a par 4, so we'll see how aggressive she gets on this second shot. I think that's good placement for her. She's far enough where she can play
She
into
should
the
have
green.
an easy approach. It looks like Kat went about 20 feet longer than the ideal shot here, but she might be able to go through there. It's sparser than I thought. Sometimes when I played, it's the shots where I didn't expect to be, like this, where you have to come up with something on the spot that were really memorable in the end. And I came away from the round feeling good about that particular thing that I did at that moment that I had no idea was gonna be necessary.
If anyone knows their bag, it's Katrina. She's been competing in PDGA events for 10 years now. Several of those have been with Prodigy Discs.
I think she's been competing as a pro for 10 years.
Correct. This is the important shot for Missy Gannon, and something I think was a struggle for her yesterday. These approaches and giving herself the best look for a putt. It's a bit low, but
Missy is such a strong putter that the circle in which she needs to land the disc is pretty generous.
Paige will be putting for par from circle 1. That was her birdie attempt. And here's Katrina.
That's pretty. That was very pretty. Perhaps if we had seen a line behind her, the audience might appreciate just how technical that shot was. That was a very nice shot.
With a similar position. Sometimes it helps to see someone go first, especially if they're successful with their shot. Though Heather is a lefty, she's still going to be looking to put it on that same angle.
She needs to get it around the corner and then land it flat. Whoa, took the high route. Well, Heather is also such a good putter that her circle is pretty generous, but I think she's gonna potentially be obstructed by those branches.
Heather Young is 17 years old. She's a lefty sponsored by Prodigy Discs. Parents got her a few discs for Christmas in 2018 after her and her sisters just enjoyed throwing a frisbee around. Now here she is in the lead card of a major 2 years later.
Remarkably fast.
just short for Heather.
Once again, from the knees, it takes most of the power out of the putt. Just shot a little bit too low. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is slightly downhill enough that you're thinking about it.
Wonder, it's a great putt for Missy Gannon. I have to wonder if the wobbles are because she's trying to pull back on speed. Missy is a spin putter. She knows if she misses, it is going to carry further than perhaps a push putter, which relies more on height than straightforward speed. It's not often you see her putt like that, but I'm wondering if maybe she's just trying to pull it back a bit, and that's why we're seeing some of that.
Could be. There are a lot of potential reasons why one might be nervous out here. Here we have Sarah Hokum on beautiful, iconic hole number 5.
An absolute crush for Sarah Hokum. It's a great feeling when you can get yourself into position. Seems like she's laying up to the water's edge here.
I think she was hoping to find just the edge of the land so that she would have a good chance at going over on 3.
She'll have no problem clearing. Wow, so she will have a par putt from there. And according to udisclive.com, Sarah made that putt from 38 feet. She's moved up one spot again and is tied for 4th.
Here you can see the flyover of the beautiful, iconic hole number 5. 2 strong and well-placed throws may put players close enough to contemplate going over the water on their 3rd shot, but the women may also play safe and go around the outcropping of trees at the corner of the bend of the fairway. A par is certainly still in the cards going around the outside. Actually, Paige showed us that a birdie was possible going around the outside yesterday, but I think throwing over the water will be necessary for the birdie for most of the women. I believe we're watching our lead card find their way to the tee of hole 5 right here.
I love these drone shots because they really show you a different viewpoint of the fairway. Sometimes they put into perspective just how small it is and just how little movement your disc can have once it hits the fairway in order to stay in bounds. Katrina Allen off to pretty slow but even start. She's even through 4, and that's kept her up in 2nd, though she hasn't given any strokes to the field. She hasn't gained any strokes on Paige either. Paige Pierce currently 1 under for the round after carding that birdie on 3. I'm sure both of them will be looking to improve their score moving forward.
It'd be cool if they had a similar qualification system to how the men's have to get in.
No.
Heather 5?
Oh, okay.
All 4 is Heather 5?
It could be like 3 spots or something instead of 5.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And it'd be the same as how the men's qualifying 5.
The water does come into play on the drive here, actually on every shot potentially. So then players throwing a backhand need to gently turn it to the right. If it's turned too much, it could cut roll into the water. If it's not turned, it could simply fly into the water.
Great position for Paige.
Ideal.
Katrina is playing from a further up tee pad than she's used to when she competes here at Winthrop.
Which is fine.
She's often a pro who advocates for playing from the longer tees. She said she's been playing since 2011 and they've always played the men's pads unless there was water or special circumstances, and That's why she learned to throw farther, throw rollers, and advance her game, and that's why she thinks she gets excited to throw where there are 2-shot holes. She gets to use some of those skills that she has.
Missy staying towards the top of the fairway. Nice and safe. I agree with Kat. I always wanted to compare myself to the men's scores, and the only way you can do that is if you play the same course. So though I fully understand and agree with the concept of a forward tee for the women, it's not what I wanted to play.
From the other camera angle, it looked like she was going straight for that tree, and
I was slightly worried, but it turned out to be just great.
you can always tell when, or at least we can tell when the other person is getting worried because we just go absolutely silent. Great shots from all of our competitors. Katrina Allen said her goal today was just a better start. She certainly had that. Yesterday she was 2 over through these holes. She's now at even. I am curious to see, will we see anyone deviate from their game plan and attack over the water? Will they put themselves closer to the water with this second shot and then go for it, or will they continue to move?
I think we'll be able to tell by the placement of their second shot. Maybe it'll be the other way around. The placement of the second shot dictates whether or not they attempt to go over.
Paige Pierce, the only one of these competitors to card the birdie yesterday on this hole. Hole number 5 coming in is the 4th most difficult hole, and I really believe it's because of these shots right here.
What we saw yesterday as the women tried to clear going around that outcropping at the bend of the fairway is it plays much wider than they were giving it credit for, and it was clipping their discs, and I think we saw Cat Merch go OB in the water there, and other ones that just dropped their disc close to that outcropping. So they need to play that wider than it looks.
Looked like Katrina was playing towards the water's edge. She is a bit further back than I think she wants to be, but at this point, we know she has the distance. We know she has the control. It's just important to stay safe. This is a great example of you have to understand your discs. You've got to know how far you can throw them and on what power, given that this is slightly downhill. It's going to pull her disc just a bit more left. That's a great touch from Missy Gaiman, who is looking to be throwing over the water on her
Well, I'm
third
curious
shot.
about that. If she were going around the outside, I think she would have thrown full power. It doesn't appear as if she did, which makes me think she might be going over, but I'm not certain.
She's not necessarily known for her distance, but I think it's because of how well she does on the putting green. But I have talked to her before, and she does get frustrated when she's not given credit for how far she can throw.
Unfortunately, it's all relative, and being that they're playing with a woman who is breaking all records as far as distance, they don't shine like they would otherwise.
That seems...
Again, that's a little curious to me. I can't tell if she's trying to go beyond that or if she's trying to lay up for...
Well, Paige seems to be absolutely lining up as if she's going around again. And
why not? It's the safe play, and she can still birdie from there.
There is a flag on that post out to the left.
That is a mando for the men. The men are not allowed to go around the outside like we're seeing the women do right now. The men must throw over the water. I will echo the sentiments that we heard at the start of this broadcast, in that number 5 I think is one of my favorite holes on this course. Truly is a beautiful, iconic hole. Here we go, over the water for Kat.
It's got great angle on it, doesn't have
stay.
enough. Oh, and unfortunately she is short.
I think she had the distance, she just needed to turn it over a tiny bit more. The basket is only 10 meters from the water.
Missy Gannon taking in her rangefinder. Taking in her rangefinder doesn't make any sense, I'm sorry. Missy Gannon using a rangefinder. Again, just shows familiarity with her bag. And look at this shot, Juliana. Wow, that is not easy.
No, it is not.
It really puts it into perspective when you're able to see this angle.
Well, and
that is far.
The thing is, when you get a little bit more apprehensive about a shot, you might kind of back off a little bit, which tends to put the nose of the disc up, which is not what you want to do, because that'll make it hyzer out a tiny bit more, and in this case, find the water.
Unfortunately, Missy Gannon just put that on a bit too much of an anhyzer angle, and she has hit that area of bushes. We see the spotter going in to assess her lie right now. Hole 5 is not the easiest to spot. He is giving her a green flag. I am interested to see where her disc is, how she'll continue to play this hole. That's not the position you want to put yourself in. And this is the other issue. If you miss and you go in the water, you don't touch the other side, you have no choice but to continue to push by going over the water.
Yeah, you've lost a lot of distance there. Now, she certainly knows she's got the distance to go over. It's just how daring does she want to be in trying to get it underneath the basket. Oh.
Katrina will find the water once again. But I'm curious, she has touched the other side from what we could hear. Or perhaps I'm wrong.
I'm guessing that is not the case based on what we're seeing right now. She went safer there. She's definitely over, but she's left herself with a very long putt. That's why she went closer to the basket on that last one, trying to get underneath it, and unfortunately finding the OB.
Here's Heather Young with her attempt to go over the water.
Now this is slightly less intimidating, throwing a lefty over the water, as it's naturally going to fall back to the right.
I love this angle. Just in circle 2. Great shot from Heather Young. And she has quite the opportunity in putting for birdie from circle 2 to gain a lot of strokes on Katrina and put herself in second place. Katrina will be putting for triple bogey from circle 2. Paige Pierce played it safe. She's going to have opportunities to walk away with another birdie on hole 5.
And if not a birdie, an extremely easy par. Whenever you can conserve mental facilities on this course, it's really a benefit to you at the end of the round.
These women certainly have undergone the unexpected this year. This has been quite the unpredictable yet busy season for the Pros on Tour, and this week is no exception. Last week there was a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. Now we have the Women's National Championship. Next week is the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale, and Katrina Allen has admitted she loves the grind. She loves just tournament after tournament, but she's been feeling a bit out of her rhythm this year with a lack of tour. So not too often you hear that.
Paige putting it very close to the basket on 3 shots going around the outside.
And there she is with that course management. Strong and confident in her releases. Seeing a little wind in the basket. Not enough to let it affect her game. Missing in and looking for her shot. She was in fact called safe by the spotter. She'll be off the fairway after 3 throws. A little bit of a window there. The theme I'm seeing so far with her round is just continuing to get into these positions, like you said, where you're not where you planned to be and having to come up with something on the spot to get yourself back to where you planned to be. And we keep seeing it from her. You know, we saw her have to do a couple of big putts from circle 2. On hole 1, she was a bit out of position. Good power, but unfortunately she has found some of that rough. Excellent approach. Fortunately, she will be looking to putt for bogey from circle 1. Heather Young approaching her putt for circle 2. She is the winner this year of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Virtual Putting Invitational. Our competitors attempted 5 putts at 6 different distances with points assigned for each distance, just a way to allow them to continue to compete. Safe to say she's been in this position before.
Nice attempt. Nothing wrong with a par on this hole.
This is Katrina for triple bogey after finding the water on her 3rd shot twice. It's a great putt. I suspected we were going to see some of that aggression come out here on the putting green, and she will walk away with the 8.
Hopefully she can take the good feeling from that beautiful putt with her to the next hole instead of the double OB strokes.
Just like that, with 1 hole, Heather Young has brought herself 1 stroke below Katrina Allen. And Paige has continued to move away from the rest of the field. Paige Pierce is currently 12 under for the event, 2 under on the day. Another competitor that's 2 under is Kona Panis.
The other one's like pin high, right? I don't think you care, but I bet you never.
Here's Kona with her drive on hole number 6.
Throwing that much wider than yesterday. Unfortunately, she found the water yesterday, so she corrected nicely today.
A great putt from Kona. According to UDisc, Kona has also carded the birdie on 7. Not an easy hole.
Here we have hole 6, 282 feet, par 3. OB water along the entire left side of the fairway. Wetlands behind the green and roped area to the right of the green are also out of bounds. The hole is reachable, but it takes a wide hyzer to cleanly clear the trees near the pin. Players may also be able to throw a hard, low straight shot under the tree and find themselves close enough for a putt. One thing to note on this hole is that any out-of-bounds throw can either replay from the previous lie or play from the drop zone. The drop zone is only 45 feet from the basket, pointing directly at the water with nothing in the way.
Paige Pierce will be first to tee off after carding the only birdie on hole number 5. She said hole 6 is the exact distance she throws her zone. She said, I'm throwing it as hard as I can, flat, and it loses speed in the perfect amount of time for me. I just have to commit to my drive, and it's easy work from there.
That's perfect. I am a big believer in throwing the slowest discs that you can that can reach the basket. It's the safest play.
Interested to see how Katrina Allen continues to push. She is 100% from the fairway, so that's part of her game is working for her. But she hasn't been able to make any key putts as of yet, besides the one that we saw on hole 5.
This looks very nice. Pin high should be no problem.
Easy work from there was, I believe, how she put it. Not the distance to card the birdie, but she seems pleased with that.
Well, she's actually putting away from the water, so I suspect she's still going to go for that putt.
She did play up and down for par yesterday. We'll see how she can finish the hole today. That's a great shot from Missy Gannon. At first I was a bit worried it would be short, similar to what we saw yesterday from Kona, but great distance, way to play the skip onto the green, which is sand, so once it gets there, it's not going anywhere.
Beach. She's on the beach.
Katrina with a similar line. And as usual, she has to be the best.
I had a little thought that we might see a skip that would become an ace run on that shot.
There is the beautiful fairway of hole 6. If you're wondering, that post that the women are walking toward on the left is actually a bat preserve, which is really cute since they eat all of the mosquitoes. There go the Canadians. And speaking back to Kona Panis, she is 2 down for the round. She's on the fairway after 1 throw on hole 8. Moved herself up 3 spots on the day. Even for the tournament, 2 under for the round. That is what it's all about, keeping it clean. She is 100% from circle 1 and 100% on the fairway. Owen Scoggins has also moved herself back up into the top 5 after her play so far today. She's currently making her way down hole 8. Owen has moved up 4 spots. She's 2 under for the round as well, 1 over for the event. Different pacing today as well, no backups. The chase card was able to get out and ahead of the lead card today. Yesterday we saw the women having to wait on nearly every hole, which is fine. It can definitely happen in professional disc golf. Got to be worried about that momentum for Paige Pierce if you're trying to track her down. Here's Paige putting for birdie from circle 1. Love that play of taking a knee to bring yourself more in line with the basket.
I understand it, but it's not something that I used to do. If she were to miss throwing basket high, I think it would have more potential to fly into the water as opposed to throwing downwards towards the basket. But Paige doesn't miss.
Katrina with her tap-in birdie from circle 1. That'll be her first birdie on the day on hole number 6. We'll move on to hole number 7.
Here we have hole number 7, 284 feet, par 3, ever so slightly downhill. The crux of this hole is obvious. You have to throw through the bamboo gate. Players who miss this triple mandel will choose one of 2 drop spots on either the right or left side, with 1 penalty stroke. I expect to see women throwing slower, straighter discs, such as understable fairway drivers or mid-range. If you make it through the mando, you're almost assured of being within the 10-meter circle. If you miss the mando, it will be very hard to save a 3.
Hole 7 coming in as the 8th most difficult hole of the day, averaging right around par, 3.2.
I was a little surprised yesterday that we didn't see anybody on the lead card make it through the mando. They didn't necessarily miss, they just laid up short, and I would think that we'll see some going through the mando today.
So far today on hole number 7, we've had Kona Panis, who's moved herself up 3 spots, take the birdie on 7, as well as Haley King, who has snuck back into the top 10. She's currently 3 over for the event, 1 under on the round. And Sarah Nicholson, someone we know well, and of a teammate. None of the women during round 1 that we're seeing throw here had made it into the circle and taken a birdie. Paige is closer today. She'll have a look at it.
I think she was trying to lay up on that. That kind of surprises me, but also I admire that because Paige is not known for being maybe cautious, and it shows that she's really playing the course and trying to stay away from the unnecessary additional penalty strokes.
Missy Gannon will hit the bamboo on her drive. You notice she did get a bit more aggressive. And this play is interesting to me. That is much more aggressive than we saw yesterday. Still not enough to make it into the mouth of hole 7.
She's got the trickiest approach so far. She's really going to have to stretch out to try to get it through the Mando and close to the basket. That's someone who knows how far she can throw with that disc.
That's absolutely right. I think one of the most important things here at Winthrop is staying focused on the process, and it's challenging, I'm sure you know, because our sport focuses so much on results, and I know you've been one to say how you wish more people understood the process of what these women have had to go through to be able to compete at the level that they are today.
It really does take commitment, and you need to allow yourself to get to this point. And I know some of our women, Heather for example, have not been playing that long and have become very good very fast. But it's okay for it to take a while to get to this level, and you may never get to this level. As long as you enjoy it, that's what's important.
Absolutely. Katrina has said she tries to stay in the moment by grounding herself. Gratitude helps her turn the doubts and fears into positivity and enjoyment, helps her not get ahead of herself. She said you should react to a shot the same, whether it's good or bad.
Oh. That could have stayed in just as well as slipped out. Very good putt by Pierce.
Paige will end her birdie streak on hole 7. She'll be putting for par from circle 1. Had she made that, she would have been 3 for 3 on the last 3 holes.
Feel good?
And here's Missy again in an uncomfortable situation, having to get creative.
Making the best of it. Very good approach.
Katrina making sure she's in line with the Mando. That's a tough shot. Sort of surprised to not see her do a bit of a forehand roller, but
Yeah, she was really limited in her options being that close to
I
the
remember
bamboo.
the first time I ever saw a play like that, granted I haven't been around for long, was Val Jenkins was stuck behind this really big bush and just popped it right out of the bush and just rolled it right underneath the basket. And I was like, you can do that? The answer is no. Val can do that. Heather with a great shot. She'll be walking away with the birdie from 27 feet on hole number 7, bringing herself back to even. Here's Katrina for her par.
Yes,
Great
finishing
putt.
strong on that.
Not a gimme putt by any means. Great scramble from Katrina. With that, she'll maintain her second place. Second day in a row, hole 7. We have not seen any bogeys on this hole. We've seen bogeys from the field, but not on any of the lead or feature cards that we've seen. Just couldn't stay in.
Just a little bit to the left of the heart of the basket. Hole 8, 697 feet, par 5. Drives need to navigate through these big, beautiful, mature trees with OB along the entire left side. There's both a nice forehand flex route as well as a backhand shot off the tee. The second shot needs to be very precise with regards to its placement and the angle at which it hits the ground to minimize any left skips. A gentle turnover that lands flat or controlled sidearm would both work well. And as we saw from Katrina yesterday, a roller can put you in contention for a birdie.
That was incredible to watch. So beautiful. And here's Kona putting for par from circle 1. Currently 2 under on the day. Just high, but it will sit. And that is something that we can see here on hole 8 is missing your disc standing up and rolling.
Once again, we do have a slope on the green. There are quite a few baskets that are on a slope.
And with a completely different challenge on the same hole, here's Sarah Hokum with a downhill putt. This is for par as well. Those are 2 examples of classic putting mistakes at Winthrop. Is just the height. Online, good power, but just slightly off. It's a game of inches.
Paige not quite as aggressive as she was yesterday, but still in an exceptional place. We just saw Sarah do a putt from her knee as well, and I don't know that this is the case, but she's may not have the same room to bring her arm down, and thus it changes the timing of the putt as opposed to when she's standing up.
Great angle on that.
That's the traditional route. Very nice.
Putting on a bit of a clinic here on hole 8.
Yesterday, Katrina went the wide route, which surprised me, but then she was in a great position for that amazing roller.
And it looks like she has that high-speed driver because she wants that skip, though she did come into contact a little bit with those leaves, and sometimes that can take the momentum off of your shot. She will be safe. Here's Heather Young.
There is OB on that left side. She needs to bring back a little bit. Oh, she's fine. She's in a great spot. Yes, you can see, well, right now the line that we see, that's the OB on the left. There is a line on the right of the fairway as well, but that does not come into play for the hole that we are on, hole 8. That is a hazard for hole 16, which is adjacent this hole. So I suspect we'll see Kat throw that big roller again, and all three of the other women are on the left side, and they're pretty much looking straight down the neck of the fairway. So everybody's got a good position to attack this.
Yesterday, this far, Paige Pierce was 2 under on the round, going into hole 8. Today, she's 3 under. No bogeys to speak of, and if she sticks to her game plan, it's possible we could see a bogey-free round from Pierce. Here's Missy Gannon with her second shot on hole 8. This is a par 5, so I'm interested to see how aggressive she gets here on this shot. It's all about placement.
Get over the hill.
Asking for it to get over the hill, I think she knows the
Well,
dangers.
It ended up being just fine, but I think if it had even 4 more inches of height, she probably would have got another 50 or 60 feet of distance on that, which might have put her in a position to putt, being that she's such a strong putter from outside the circle.
Katrina seems to be lining up that roller again. See if she's as successful today as she was yesterday. Wow, seems like great placement.
I didn't see the end of that, but I'm still very impressed by that shot. And the way that's curling, I don't think she could have found any danger on that.
It's a little tight.
That roll is going to help her because now she should have less in her way, but it's still an approach. She's not putting yet.
The fence is OB, so she will be able to take relief from it. She seems pleased with that shot.
Well, this is a par 5. These women are playing this hole very well.
Paige with a roller as well.
Not sure that's going to turn out.
That had potential to go over that fence.
That would have been unexpected. She's in a fine position. Again, this is a par 5. She's only laying 2.
According to UDisc, Katrina Allen is still on the fairway after that second throw. It's always subject to change. There's volunteers running the program, so.
Well, where they have landed, I'm not sure that it's possible to be off the fairway other than Paige potentially jumping the fence and going OB, because we've got fence, wall on right, baseball field, fence on left, OB line.
I didn't really see that line there was too.
I think she was hoping to be maybe in one of the circles.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Well, she did it yesterday.
She sure did. That was
I think that was the
absolutely
shot of the
beautiful.
round, in my opinion. So this is still a difficult shot. She needs to, well, the route that I see is playing to the left of that big tree and turning it back up to the right. But she may be going through the gap there.
Oh,
This is a par 5, so Missy will have an opportunity to save par from her position. That is unfortunate. Similar shot to what we saw just moments ago on hole 7 for Katrina, though the basket is in view now.
She's going to make it a little bit easier on herself on this one. I think I misspoke earlier when I was praising Katrina on her roller. She got an eagle on this hole yesterday, not a birdie.
Heather Young currently 75% on the fairway, 80% from circle 1. She'll be looking to get up and into the circle to give herself a birdie putt. Remember, there are those posts that get in the way. She's going to have to match the angle of the hill if she wants this forehand to stick. It's a bit further than she wanted, but she won't have to contend with the posts. Perhaps that bush may get in the little bit of the way since she is a lefty. Not the result she wanted.
No, she was expected to be closer than that. Missy having a little bit of a misfire on that approach. She's going to have to contend with the pillars on her putt.
Paige Pierce putting for eagle from circle 2. Her putting has been on point today. She's currently 100% from circle 1. Let's see if she can make things happen from circle 2. I think this is one of the competitors who's a little bit more comfortable from 40 feet than she would be 20 feet. That, if you have to take a roll away on this hole, is the only kind that I want to take. It's an unfortunate miss, but she'll still be putting for birdie from circle 1.
It does feel as if the par on this hole is a little soft for the women.
Through the bush, right to the basket, just barely misses. Heather Young will concede for par on from circle 1 on hole 8. Here's Missy Gannon putting for par from circle 1. Missy really needs to continue to push and get as many birdies as she can because the rest of the field is catching up to her. She's currently tied for 4th with Ellen Widboom, Owen Scoggins, Kona Panis. Great
That
putt
was an
make.
impressive putt.
Paige did have a bit of a roll away on her eagle attempt, but she will be putting for birdie from circle 1.
Not a gimme, but Paige makes it look simple.
And Katrina with her birdie attempt. Great effort. Simple tap in for par by Heather Young, and we will move on to hole number 9.
All right, hole 9. This is the toughest spot for us to design holes. It's mostly flat, and there's kind of 2 trees out in the middle of a field. What we tried to do this year was just make it simple, make it understandable, especially with people only being able to watch online. It's about control. The first shot tests left to right, and the second shot into an island green tests front to back. I think it's super scoreable, but dangerous enough where you're going to see a lot of good scoring separation.
Well, there certainly has been some movement here on day number 2. Owens Goggins and Ellen Widboom continue to make their way up the leaderboard. Casey Pennington out of Kingwood, Texas has also found herself in the top 10, as well as Jessica Weiss from Grass Valley, California. She's no stranger to competing with these women at majors. Moving up 9 spots on the day.
This is hole 9, 592 feet, par 4. If you remember, this is one of our island holes. The women are trying to get far enough down the fairway that they're comfortable attacking the island on their second shot.
The same as yesterday, hole number 9 is coming in as the first most difficult hole of the day, averaging 1 stroke over par.
Kat flirting with the OB on the right-hand side, but she has actually put herself in a very good position to attack the green.
It's a very important fairway hit to have for Heather Young. She's currently 80% from the fairway. Going with a high hyzer approach. It's looking to keep it safe. She is on the fairway after 1 throw. Much farther back than I believe she wants to be, but this is a par 4, so she will have...
It's just fine. I would suggest that she stay in the main fairway and not go for the green from where she's at. And who knows, maybe that's a blessing in disguise, because we saw a lot of people hitting OB yesterday, or actually flying over the green and going OB long. And as we found out that they must re-tee from their previous lie, you cannot take it from the island until you actually land on the island.
Missy Gannon finding the fairway as well. You can see her disc right there on the left-hand side of the screen. Really putting trust in that straight shot, but I don't know, visibly I'm looking at her emotions when we have that on camera, and I'm hearing her after her shot, and it just seems like her reactions are nerves. She seems a little bit shaken, maybe not as strong and confident. I'm really hoping that she can continue to push. She is currently tied for 4th, but as I said, the rest of the field is birdieing, and they are moving up the leaderboard. UDisc stat comparison. What an amazing graphic for those of you at home to see. You can see Katrina Allen currently leading in fairway hits. That's not a surprise. I would say her comfort zone is definitely with her fairways and her drivers. She is 19% of the time parked and putting for birdie. Paige, however, putting for birdie the most from circle one. She's 54% circle one in regulation. That means the amount of times that she's putting for birdie or better from within the circle, and then just maintaining that 100% circle one percentage in this far into day two at Winthrop is incredible.
I think that is a very smart play by Missy. She should have an easy approach at the island green from there.
And thinking about taking in all of these stats and the opportunities that the women have to just reach into their back pocket, get their phone and just check and see, how am I doing? What are my stats as compared to yesterday? Had this been available when you were competing at your best, would you have done that? Do you think it fits in with your personality, or would you have just stuck to your guns, played your own game, not paid much attention to it?
I would have tried not to pay much attention to it. I'm not sure if I would have succeeded. The best rounds that I had were rounds where I wasn't conscious of everything specifically, but I do think it's important on the last day, towards the end of the round, that you just have to know where you are compared to the other players. But otherwise, you just want to do the best that you can do, regardless of what's happened before or what's happening currently.
No, that is something Paige Pierce has addressed before in interviews when asked about how she gets herself so far ahead of the field. How does she stay motivated? And she really just starts to focus on personal goals. She wants to hit 1,000 rated, and so she'll continue to push and push herself until she earns that achievement. We saw a great second shot. She'll be putting for birdie from circle two. And there she goes, checking in on things. Sometimes it's messages from friends and family, but if I know Paige, it's how to see how her friends are doing, whether they're competing in the US DGC or in the Women's National Championship.
I like the angle of the flight of this.
Missy Gannon putting for par from circle one. Here's Katrina Allen lining up her second shot. That's great control. Nearly identical placement to Missy's. You can see hers come into frame there on the left. Katrina will be putting for birdie from circle one.
So far, what we've seen today, the women have played this hole much better. We haven't seen any out-of-bounds shots yet.
Those posts to the left with the red tops are the out-of-bounds. You see the same posts with yellow tops mark the hazard. We see plenty of both throughout this course. Heather Young on the fairway after two throws. She's looking to get her third shot up and into the circle to give herself a look for par. Great shot, hitting the bullseye with her third shot. I loved the angle control on that shot as well.
Right, she was actually able to be a little bit more aggressive because she could throw it out over the wide part and have it fade in towards the basket.
Bit of a scoring update. Ellen Widboom has carded the eagle on hole number 10. She's in the basket for eagle from 16 feet. She's moved herself up into solid solo 4th place, up 5 spots on the day. Granted, there is plenty of time for Missy Gannon to continue to make moves and push, but she has fallen down 2 spots since the start of the round. Seeing some familiar names on that leaderboard, and Sarah Holcomb and Jessica Weiss. And even in Owen Scoggins, who has come back out on tour this year.
There is OB fairly close behind the basket, so these putts, if they are strong and if they miss, could potentially find the OB.
Great strong putt for birdie from Katrina Allen. It's back-to-back birdies on hole 8 and 9, putting herself back to even for the round, 6 under for the event.
We'd like to thank Throw Pink, a non-profit that funds disc golf events in order to encourage women and girls, for their support. And here we have a trailer for a documentary of an ultimate non-profit whose goal is to increase early recognition of cancer symptoms.
We got the call one day that Eric was sick.
When I was 8, I remember being a normal kid.
We went to the doctor. They told us that he had a brain tumor.
And so that's when they said he has to have another surgery. And by then it was right before his 10th birthday. He fought so hard when he was 8 years old, and he fought so hard when he was 10 years old.
Here it goes again. I would never want any parent to have to go through what we did. You can let fear overcome you, or you can do something about it.
We needed to do something.
And Cassandra and my father brought up the fact that they wanted to start a nonprofit about cancer awareness.
I love the name, Eric, of course. It makes so much sense, for early recognition is critical.
I was just really excited to potentially be involved in something like this and to see my dad bring his passions to life.
He was going to go through with it and put everything he had into it.
And I think that that's like what we decided. Like, cancer's this huge opponent, and the way to beat it is to catch it early.
And I wanted to make sure that we were able to give back to those in need.
What if we could get all the players from the AUDL to do Eric clinics in their cities?
Jim has this idea about going to a school and reaching the children and being able to talk to them and teaching them ultimate.
At that point, I thought, maybe I could get involved in this pro league. I think cancer prevention starts when you teach kids to speak up. Eric's original mission statement is Youth Cancer Symptoms Awareness. We built the Roughnecks with more than just the goal to win the championship. We wanted to make a difference.
So I think one of the things that Eric also did is make it more acceptable and easier for the kids to even talk about it.
Bo Kittredge is the best player in the world.
As the kind of kids came in and the discs came out and we started engaging with them and they started running around and having fun and throwing the frisbee and we started talking with them, it was immediately obvious to me that this would work.
We had a chance to go undefeated, but then he got injured. It's not just about winning, it's about speaking up. It could save a life, possibly your own.
Well, yesterday in her interview, Paige Pierce said, "I'm not one to sit still." That's very true. First of all, welcome back to our show. Sorry, this is kind of all over the place. But yeah, so yesterday I stuck around a little bit. I know you did as well. I mean, it's impossible not to stick around. I mean, the energy in Winthrop is amazing. But Paige was running around with a camera taking pictures of all of the USDGC competitors with Alyssa Van Lannen. And I'm just thinking, she already had walked an entire first round of the only major of the year, very significant and important to her career, which she has openly admitted. And then she goes out and she grabs a camera and she goes out and walks the entire property again. I mean...
Well, I suspect that's a way in which she calms herself.
Right.
You know, it's a place that she's very comfortable. It's something that she enjoys doing. So it's not such a burden physically, and it's more of an enjoyment.
Well, I know you've said you have snuck out to this property during the U.S. Championships time and time again just because of that energy. It's contagious, even though we don't have the spectators and fans and the food trucks and the hospitality area, and things are limited this year. Still, just being able to be a part of the energy is amazing.
Yes, I'm happy to say that I still feel it. I hope that all the players do as well.
I think Kona Panis feels it. That was an eagle putt on hole number 10 from 38 feet. Incredible, incredible golf. I think sometimes we think of these pros, we know this is their job, this is something they get paid to do, and they do well. They put in tons of hours practicing, but when it all comes down to it, they are disc golf fans, and if competitive disc golf is being played, they want to be there taking it all in.
Go.
Beautiful venue, beautiful day, great golf. How can you go wrong?
Sarah Fulcrum with her birdie putt. That will be her first birdie of the day here on hole number 10. She'll move up.
Here we have a look at hole 10, 329 feet, par 4. If you take the direct route, this hole plays like an island green. The OB starts right at the end of the tee pad. The pin is within reach for all of these players, but the landing area is basically the 10-meter circle. So players have to be confident in their accuracy as well as their distance. It is important to note that on the hole, all OB will be played from the previous lie. Those wanting to be more conservative can play out to the left, though I doubt we will see that on this card.
This is coming in as the least difficult hole of the day, averaging under par. Lots of eagle opportunities and makes on this hole from the field so far. So the women have got to be thinking about that going into this hole.
I'll be more surprised if we don't have an eagle from this group than if we do.
A nearly identical shot to yesterday, keeping it out nice and wide. Trina will be putting for eagle from the edge of circle 1. Yesterday she was able to be a little bit closer and come in for eagle around 15 feet.
There's a tiny slope on the right side of the basket, so it may be a little bit more desirable to be on the low side of the basket. Well, or you just put it right in the stones to have a literal drop in.
I liked that more direct approach from Paige Pierce. Heather Young, not known for being a distance player, has opted for the safe route. She'll play to the left side of the fairway, keep it inbounds.
She will still be able to get a birdie from there.
Missy Gannon has found the OB on the right.
As I mentioned, this is a re-tee.
I believe the purpose of this hole playing this way was just to alleviate the number of spotters needed on the property.
Also serves to ratchet up the nerves.
Adds a much better follow through for that shot. Just needs to work its way left and towards the basket, and it does.
No, not the first time.
Great correction on the second shot by Missy. She will be putting for par from circle 1. This is just a better view of this hole. Really goes to show all of the OB the women are looking to avoid. I'm going to be heading over to Heather Young's shot. She was the only player on the card that opted to go left. Sometimes that's the most demanding. The second shot is the most demanding shot.
Well, this may be one of very few holes on this course where being able to throw lefty is not an advantage on the drive, because the slope of the green is actually going to make it more likely that she would slip out of bounds if she were to skip.
After Heather started showing true interest in disc golf, her father built her an entire course on their land. They have 16 acres in Tennessee, so she said she practices nearly every day, and certainly see that pay off in moments like this.
Very smart play by Heather, playing within her own game.
Katrina Allen will be up first for her eagle attempt. She'll be putting from the edge of circle 1. Is there a downslope behind this shot?
There is, yes. Not quite directly behind the basket from where Katrina is, more off to the right.
Not the result she wanted, but she'll still be walking away with the birdie, making it her third birdie in a row. Missy Gannon for her par save after going OB on her first drive. Great putt from Missy. Great play from Heather. Staying in control of herself and playing out the hole, giving herself a birdie. will tap in for her birdie. And Paige will tap in for her eagle.
Eagle. Drop it, eagle.
These women will head over to hole number 11.
734 feet, par 5. Taking a little off the drive here, make sure you land short of the hazard. On the left is a good play. For the second shot, a controlled drive over the hazard that lands between the next two hazards will set you up nicely for a straight, low-flying approach. I think it is important to keep your discs down on this hole to minimize fade that could result in skips into the hazard. Because of the right to left slope near the basket, a sidearm approach or a flat landing backhand will have a better shot at staying in bounds.
Not sure if it's just the comfortability, being that it's hole 11 on the second day, or the great conditions, but this is coming in as the second easiest hole of the day. For the field, there's several birdies.
This bird's eye view is really interesting. You can see the hazards. They're slightly darker green. I'm not sure if that's because they are maybe not mowed as short, but you can really tell how the fairway is shaped by the lines.
Heather, 3, SG 4. Good save.
50% is not good enough on day 2. Gotta wait till the last day.
On every tee, there is a sitting area that's tented, give players relief from the sun, and a chance to sit down.
Yesterday
socially distanced.
Yesterday we didn't get to see the lead card throwing, so I'm happy we get to see their drives. Yeah, I was curious if Paige was going to be aggressive and try to throw a driver along the right side, but she did just the smart shot, which is the layup.
Katrina Allen looking to be making a similar move. She's chosen a slower speed driver.
She has thrown that hard, but it is, as you said, a slower flyer, and she's down on the flat. That's a really good place to be.
Heather Young coming into this with a different mentality than Katrina. Katrina tried to play for the eagle and was unsuccessful, resulting in a birdie. Heather tried to play for the birdie and was successful. So all of that momentum can work in your favor.
Drive on this hole is the least interesting shot. It's what happens after this that is more important.
Katrina was interviewed before her performance at Jonesboro on the final day. She said the first shot isn't always as demanding on these par 4s and 5s, as you just said. The second shots are the ones where you might be in having to deal with water, a basket on a hill, blind shots. So you've really got to focus if you want to get a look and score out here. And man, does that carry over onto Winthrop. She also said her main goal is always to win, followed up by laughter, but really just to stick to my game plan and try to give myself the best opportunity at the end of the tournament to win. And she did have a slower start to her day, carding that 8 on hole number 5, but she's done nothing but birdie since.
As we look at UDisc Live, we can see that Ellen Whitboom is having a very good day today. She is currently 5 under through 11 holes.
Ellen Whitboom, representing Brooksville, Florida, spent her second off season when the tour was put on hold in Gainesville with her family. think she said she competed P90X with some of her friends. So if that doesn't get you back in shape and ready for the tour, then I don't know what will.
I like this play a lot. Putting the drive down to the left so that you are looking at the basket at about the same elevation instead of being above it. I think this gives you a better chance to control the landing angle of your disc and thus a better chance of staying in bounds. She got that a little high. It's going to fade off to the left.
The yellow flag held up does mean that her disc has found the hazard.
Beautiful shot.
I was worried about her, not her speed, but just her distance on that shot. She has managed to get it inbounds, but that was close.
I suspect she wasn't worried. But yes, I was a little worried as well watching.
Heather Young with her second shot on hole 11.
Her footing is on an angle, which makes it a little bit tricky. But I would rather be a lefty throwing from there than a righty, so she had a very good shot, just barely went into the hazard there.
Her timing correction with the slope was good on that hole, but I think she wanted to hang it out a bit more left than that. But if you noticed, her plant foot made contact with the ground and everything flowed through.
She was only off by inches.
You know, lots of people who become fans of women's disc golf because of all of the techniques you can pick up on when watching them, including how they attack the fairway. This seems
that's
bit
higher
more
than I would have expected, but she has controlled it well. So there is that area of the fairway where it kind of opens up where you're between the hazards, and I'm guessing she knows that that's the distance, that her typical distance will put her there. So she had a little bit more leeway into throwing such a hyzer.
You know the heat is on here at Winthrop.
If not for the penalty stroke, I actually like the angle at which she's coming in on the basket from here.
Missy Gannon started playing disc golf back in 2015 when she was introduced to the sport by some of her friends in Colorado. For those of you paying attention, yes, that was 5 years ago. Now she's on the lead card at a major. She grew up playing volleyball, basketball, softball, so she's always been really competitive. She became a professional disc golfer shortly after Am Worlds in 2017, where she took third and started touring in July of 2018. She is our current PDGA putting world champion.
We have 2 putting champions on this card. This is exactly where I want to approach the basket from. Nice, flat, straight.
Oh, Paige Pierce, that is so bad.
Dear Paige was not happy with her shot. She did not throw that one flat or straight.
She has found the hazard, unfortunately, down and to the left. That was a flippy putter. Was her signature Crystal Fierce. She's been trusting that disc all over the fairway.
Sometimes when you have narrow fairways, you actually let up a little bit, and that's the opposite of what you want to do. You want to be even more aggressive because that's how you keep your line.
Fans everywhere have just written that down. Including me. Could you say that again?
Throw something slow, hard.
If Paul is watching, he's shaking his head going, Hannah, I've been telling you that for years. Heather Young with a great approach. She'll be putting for par from circle 1. One of the only women to keep herself in the fairway, Katrina Allen, hits the bullseye.
Excellent control on that form.
She'll be walking away with her 4th birdie in a row. This is one of those opportunities Katrina will have to gain a stroke on Paige. Katrina will drop down to 8 under if Paige is unable to save par here. She will give a stroke back to the field. Just barely found that line.
This is an uphill putt.
Exact height, exact power, just not on the correct line, but had that been to the right, she would have been dead center chains. Missy Gannon for par from circle 1. Full commitment and a great result. I love the smiles. Release the endorphins. Heather Young in for her par. Paige will card her first bogey of the round here on hole number 11. Women will continue to make their walk up the hill as we move on to hole number 12.
This is hole 12, 639 feet, par 4. These women are probably going to throw the aggressive line. They're going to Anheuser off the tee, but they can't turn it too much because there is both hazard and OB on the right. There is hazard and OB on the left. This is a sloping green, and the approach shot is often blind, making this a very tricky green to find.
Hole number 12 coming in as the 4th most difficult hole, averaging just a little bit over par. No birdies on the day to record so far.
Once again, I love this overview. You can see where it's a little bit darker green. That is the hazard area on both the left and the right.
2 players walked away with the birdie yesterday. One was, in fact, Melody Bailey and Missy Gannon. We'll see if she can play this hole out today. As we said, Ellen Widboom coming in with the second hot score of the day with a 4 under par. Owen Scoggins, we've been mentioning these 2 women coming in right behind her with a 3 under. Plenty of golf left here at Winthrop. We're just a little over halfway round 2 here at the Women's National Championships, and the movement has already started to begin.
Okay, I'll be the wind dummy. I'll be the wind dummy.
I was like, yeah,
I'm drawing a champion.
Speaking of Owen and Ellen, here we are. Owen is on the right, Ellen on the left.
I looked at this card going into today and I thought, I want to be on this card. These are great women. These are great ambassadors for our sport. Owen traveling across the U.S. to compete at the championship this weekend. Hailing out of Los Angeles, California. Katrina will get us started with our drives as well.
It's got to stay flat. I think she is shy of the hazard. Yes, she is.
Great follow through there by Heather Young.
Fine position.
Missy's issue today, I believe, has just been releasing everything a bit more flat than she wants. She's really got to commit. I think today on this shot in particular, she wants to release it flat, just control that nose angle. Bit of a hyzer there, but an excellent flight down the fairway on hole 12.
That'll be fine. She threw that down, which is what you want to do when you are throwing downhill, and that's going to take out any possibility for fading out into the hazard. Got over the top of that one nicely. She's taken off a lot of distance. Her second shot, I'm guessing she's going to be attacking the pin.
This is a great shot of the green.
We're actually looking back at the hole of 11 there. Here, if we turn around, we'll see the layout for 12. What you can't tell from the drone is that there is a spine along the approach. So from where the women are now, they're kind of down in a valley, and that spine, the topography of the hole, makes it so that they cannot see the basket from where they are throwing. They can't see the basket, and they can't see the line of the hazard.
Out of all of the drives that we've seen, who do you think has given themselves the best option and the best look for their next drive?
Oh, without a doubt, Paige. She's taken off enough distance that well, first of all, she might even be high enough on that spine that she can see the flag of the basket, which is, of course, going to be a huge benefit. I think that only Paige really is going to be close enough that she can go for the pin. The other girls are going to have to lay up into the fairway. You can kind of get a good idea of just how blind the shot is from this right here. Even laying up in the fairway, it's kind of hard to tell where you need to be if you're not familiar with the hole. I like that edge control a lot. Excellent.
I like her tempo here at Winthrop. She's respecting the course, playing within her abilities, and she's in third place. She hasn't wavered. She's 2 bogeys on the day, 3 birdies, 1 under for the round. Just playing within her abilities, staying to her game plan. If you respect Winthrop, it will respect you.
One hopes.
This is hazard to the left of Katrina, so she will have to play from where it lies, and she'll be unable to take relief into the fairway. She'll just have that string to contend with.
Push her run up slightly to the left, which may make the line a little bit farther to the right than she would like.
Looks like she's going to have to go even higher on her approach to make up for her new position. Bit of a sloping run up.
I'm a little nervous on this shot. I think that pole might make her play a little bit more aggressively than she would otherwise.
Gets it up nice and high. Will
Did
it
it roll
have
in?
enough?
Again, it looks as if that is just mere inches. That was a big shot. I didn't expect her to go for that.
I felt she executed it extremely well. Unfortunately, she did come up short. Missy Gannon has found some sort of a tee pad she can run up on.
She's playing the safer shot. Just fine. Here you can tell just how much danger there is around the pin. There is hazard all around the short and right side and the back side. And it does slope away towards the parking lot.
Paige will make her way to her disc. You can just see, I believe that's the top of the basket.
No, that is the tent for the men on the next hole.
Good thing I'm not caddying for her this weekend.
But she doesn't need to see the top of the basket. Beautiful. Yeah, she was close enough that she didn't even have to throw a driver on that.
So Paige's go-to approach disc is an understable putter. What are your thoughts on that?
Love it. That's fantastic. As I mentioned earlier, I think the best play is to throw the slowest disc that you can get to wherever it is you want to go, because there's less room for error. If you're off by 5 degrees at your throw with an understable putter, you'll be off by about 5 degrees at the pin. But if you throw a driver off by 5 degrees, you could be way away from your target.
Did you have a preference when you were competing at your highest as to the stability of your approach discs?
Oh, it depended on elevation, depended on the wind. They were usually understable.
Another excellent, well-controlled shot by Heather Young. She'll be putting for par from circle 1. Suspect she'll have no problem making that. Missy Gannon has also chosen to lay up after her second shot. Here she is with her approach. She'll be looking to get it up and into the circle for her par.
Smooth, nicely done.
She has done very well with her approaches today. Regardless of what score they are for, she stayed in control. Sometimes those can become the most difficult as they require so much touch.
Well, it really helps on this course to have a flat approach as opposed to a hyzer skipping approach.
Katrina putting for par from circle 2. Slightly downhill and just enough to capture it into the basket. That's another big putt for Katrina.
She's had a bunch of solid bids. I'm happy to see one of them go in.
And I'm happy to see that par save for her as she will stay 8 under for the event, 2 under for the day. She does interrupt that birdie flow she was having. She had 4 birdies in the last 5 holes. Paige with her birdie attempt from circle 1.
Once again, she made that look simple.
Missy Gannon for par. She played it out well. Heather Young will be in for her par, and we will move on to hole 13. Today is in the B position, one of your favorite holes.
And I love this new placement. The shot needs to gently turn to the left. Anything straight can quickly find itself OB over the path. Anything to left will end up in the tree line. It may be possible to attack the green in 2, but it would require both a well-positioned drive and a long second shot. If not going for the green, the second shot is along the tree line with something that finishes to the right past the big tree. From here, an approach to either basket is open. We will be going to pin B, which is 722 feet. It is the shorter pin. It is very close to the edge of the parking lot and the road.
This hole is averaging under par today. 10 players of the field have walked away with the birdie here, including Ellen Widboom, who's hoping to make her putt for birdie from circle 1 on this hole. Here she is with her drive. Just where you need to be.
Yep, she set herself up nicely for an approach around the big tree.
Ellen Widboom, a dominant forehand player. She just put so much snap on that with her approach.
This is an island green.
And there's that straight approach you were just talking about.
Yes, landing
nearly
flat.
In.
So she had an easy drop in birdie.
Ellen has stayed atop the leaderboard, moving up 5 spots on the day. Currently 1 under for the event, 4 under for the round, but after this birdie putt goes in and her score is calculated, I'm sure we'll see her continue to move. She'll be even closer to Paige, who's having the hot round of the day so far at 6 down.
Here we can see our lead card waiting for the chase card to come down off of that elevated tee, taking advantage of this shade. It is nearly 80 degrees out there today, still getting warmer.
Scoggins in for bogey. Unfortunately, she found herself off the fairway on this hole. Carding an OB here. I believe that is Sarah Cunningham from Greenville, South Carolina.
World champion Sarah Cunningham.
And Ellen. No fear in that putt. And of course, it wouldn't be coverage without a sneak peek of the infamous Elaine King. Or a quick peek, I should say. And Ellen has put herself 5 under for the round, 2 under for the event. She still needs to continue to push if she wants to catch Heather Young, who's 4 under for the event.
So I believe that was the third card that just finished hole 13. So I'm guessing we're going to be able to watch the chase card play out hole 13 here as the lead card takes a little bit of a break.
Yeah, like trying to. Your golf sucks. Yeah, you gotta come here.
Yeah.
I thought it was nice. Like, next to like the putting.
Sarah Hokum got off to a very even start, found some trouble on hole 6 through 8, but she's on a little bit of a birdie streak. Just her second shot.
Past that tree, that's all you need.
She has. She'll be looking to go up and down for her birdie.
A lot of the Asheville guys, like, that's them by the truck and they spot out here.
I saw
So, like, when I'm playing USDGC, like, the last 4 or 5 years since I was in Asheville, every time I make a place, like, what noise? And they all yell it because they're all, like, just remembering from when I was there. They were telling me, what, we don't get to yell putt night this year. They're all sad. Yeah, that was always fun.
That would be a good time for those women to have a nice little snack.
I think in moments like this, you're resting. If you are up for it mentally, you're checking your position. Maybe checking in on some of your friends who might be out on the course, whether they're competing in the USDGC or Women's Nationals. Callie McMorrin with her second shot. A bit far, but she'll be safe.
Oh, she's fine. The sidewalk there is not out of bounds. She'll have slightly farther approach, but it's still a very easy open approach.
Callie having a bit of trouble on the fairway, but none in the circle. She's 100% circle 1 putting today, keeping herself in the top 15 of the event. Looking to improve on that score by carding a birdie here. Casey Pennington from Kingwood, Texas with her second shot. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Macy Walker. Haley King has continued to move herself up into the top 10. She's moved up 7 spots on the day. On a bit of a birdie streak, she carded the eagle on hole 10, followed that up with the birdie on 11, and another birdie on 13B. Haley has 4 holes to play. She's currently teeing off on hole number 15.
It's nice to see all those under par scores for the round so far.
And how close they all are together. One bad hole or one victorious one, and up several spots or drop spots.
Kona on the green and off again. She will not get to take it from the green.
Here's Callie with her attempt. Oh, right off the top of the basket. for eagle. Callie will give herself a simple birdie putt. Here's Macy Walker with her third shot. I like the nose angle on that, nose up.
Yep, she put the brakes on herself with that nose angle.
She'll have a relatively simple birdie putt.
I shouldn't have mentioned snacks. I'm now hungry.
I won't say anything.
And it was par 4.
Very cool.
Is that
I
too
also
far?
like it, like, see where the guy in the baby blue shirt is?
Yep.
Like, 200 feet diagonal of him, like there's this little bowl.
Yep.
It would be cool over there too, I think.
Yep.
I feel like it could still be a par 5 in that long spot.
Because we play it pin back there, it would be all the way back in the shade.
Yeah.
But then if you didn't have any OB till the street,
Yeah.
and the men would still play up the side, but you guys could pump kind of far up
Yeah.
to the road. It'd be more risk reward, kind of cool.
But also, if you should just come up here and help them out. If you
I'm
left
down.
the par 5,
Sounds
you still
like-
have an eagle opportunity if you want to.
I like course design.
Women's course design. Always changing, always growing.
You may be too young to remember the commercial. There was the, whatever it is I think I see becomes a Tootsie Roll to me.
No, but I absolutely love that.
Well, I used to think about that driving pretty much anywhere. You look at the surrounding land and everything is a disc golf hole if you're a professional disc golfer.
I do that, yes. And I also do that with snowboarding. If you're ever looking at these hills.
Made it.
Well, they absolutely loved it.
She
Someone
has
in the
gone
background.
far enough that she may be able to get to the green in 2.
Being able to fine-tune course design for professional women has been something we've seen change time and time again. I know Steve Dodge has several different layouts at Maple Hill. The women have always competed well there and appreciated his willingness to change and to listen to them. Slowly but surely we're getting it right at a lot of these courses on tour.
And right means that we need to have holes in which women can birdie and women can eagle, and we'd have that here. Though I'd say that this one might be a little soft.
Again, this hole is averaging under par. Sarah Holcomb with the only eagle on the day.
I think we might see another. Ooh, that makes me nervous, but is she going to turn in time? Oh, she knows. She knows what she's doing.
She has stayed in control of herself all day, Heather Young. She knows her game plan, she's confident, she's comfortable, and you know moments like this only happen from the moments we do not see on the practice field.
Again, that takes a level of maturity, and so it's really impressive to see that in both a young player and someone who is young to the game. Once asked what my biggest strength was, my answer was, I know my weaknesses.
Ellen Woodboom working her way up onto the lead card, or into the leader board or leader card, however you want to say that. She's currently in 4th, putting for par from circle 1 and hole number 14, and all of the women that we just saw tee off are on the fairway after their first shot. Perhaps they were listening in to your flyover.
Well, I think that Paige made it far enough up along the tree line that she might be able to tack the green. I'm anxious to see where she landed. And Kat is fairly close to the sidewalk, so It's not inconceivable that she might contemplate going over the parking lot, though I don't expect it.
And speaking back to Heather Young, Katrina commented on her after their play at the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Katrina was successful in taking down that Disc Golf Pro Tour event this year, and Heather was close second, and then she conceded that placement to Paige Pierce, ended up third for the event. Katrina noted she just will step off of a putt, re-go through her routine, and maintain all composure. And she was blown away with how well she carries herself for being a 17-year-old versus the women who may have been on tour for years, just that mental maturity.
Yeah, there's a lesson there that some older players could learn from Heather Young. Gotta slow down.
Fortunately, I believe that is OB.
It's not a place you need to be aggressive. It's an easy approach anywhere in that landing zone as long as you're past that big tree.
Sort of an advantage that Paige and Katrina have is throwing those lower speed drivers farther. They can throw them as far as they need to, but they don't have to worry much about the ground action given the blunt edge.
That's nice.
But you paid your next to this big tree up here.
Missy Gannon lining up her second shot. Just opting for the forehand. A little bit tighter than Katrina.
A little worried about the road, but I think she's okay. Oh yeah, she's got plenty of room. Oh, I did not know that Paige made it into the tree line. I'm guessing that means she is not going to go for the green on her second shot. But it's Paige, you never know.
She certainly has strokes that she can risk it, but she's also competing for a rating. She's competing with herself against the course. She wants to have as few bogeys and blemishes on her scorecard as possible. And that is exactly what I expected her to do, just play it out for the par. Or that was her drive.
Oh, she's still looking at a birdie.
She's still looking for a birdie. Paige has competed in 12 events this year. She has 6 wins. Worst finish was 13th at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Waco Charity Open.
I think she can be forgiven for that one. That was the event. That was the last event before everything stopped, and I think that the world was so uncertain at that point that that tournament was not what people were thinking about.
That and competing on a course with new discs and strong wind.
Not the line she wanted.
Similar to Kona, just coming up short, not able to skip on and stick. Kona, of course, skipped on and then rolled back down. It's a tough approach for Pierce.
I think she pushed that a little bit too much. She had in mind, probably, walking down, that she was going to potentially have an eagle on this. Then finding herself in the wood line, she's now got to be happy with a birdie, which of course you should be. But then her shot out of the wood line didn't go quite far enough for her to have that flat backhand shot. But she wasn't able to switch and be a little bit less aggressive to be safe. She was still pushing to get that birdie.
Paige said her short-term goals are what most occupy her mind. It's throwing the best round as best I can and hitting the restart button going into today, because it's hard to do. Nothing good comes from thinking of the past or thinking of the future. You've just got to play the shot in front of you.
Oh, I did not see that coming. There's another case where you are looking at the big picture and you don't see the one little low ceiling limb that might alter the course of the flight.
Missy Gannon has played this hole very clean so far. This is her third shot. She's looking to get it up and into the circle to give herself a look for birdie.
Oh no, Missy Gannon. Wow.
Just unbelievable.
Well, the curb does make it just a tiny bit harder.
It is right there, but it's not.
You can't skip onto the green. You have to land on the green, unless you're playing the skip. But this is not the angle to play the skip.
And we just had complimented her on her ability to throw those perfectly controlled upshots, but it's very nerve-wracking here at Winthrop. And
the basket is very close to two sides of the OB, less than the 10-meter circle. They just had a significant bit of downtime, which could be a factor here.
Heather Young, the only competitor on the lead card today to put herself in position for birdie from circle one.
This is an example of not being able to let up on any of the shots on this course.
Oh my word. There she is. There's our putting world champion. Missy Gannon saving par from about 60 feet. Incredible scramble.
Well, you never want to see those OB strokes, but that was a fun way to finish the hole.
Here's Paige putting for par from circle two. Wow. She will not be big putted. Able to find the basket and save par, putting a lot of pressure on Katrina Allen should she choose to feel it. Maybe she's unable to connect with the basket in the way she wants.
It was a strong putt by Katrina, though. Just a little bit too high.
Heather Young for birdie. Moved 5 down overall for the tournament, 2 down for the day.
That hole did not play at all like I expected. Here's hole 14, 261 feet, par 3. This is the third elevated tee in a row. Players have to decide if they're going to the right of or the left of that big wide tree off the front of the tee. Players need to go very wide up with the hyzer to land short so they can skip in, so that they don't skip into the hazard, but not too short to be left with an intimidating putt that, if you miss, could have a good chance of flying into the hazard. There is a nice sidearm shot as well.
A very intimidating putt. Paige Pierce able to maintain her perfect putting percentage. Say that 5 times fast. From circle 1, Katrina Allen able to stay in first for fairway hits. Heather Young and Missy Gannon currently tied for circle 1 putting, and both better than what they had yesterday. Heather Young came off of her circle 1 X putting yesterday in 3rd, Missy Gannon in 7th. Missy Gannon also improving her fairway hits, so small victories.
Here you have a bird's eye view of hole 14. You can see the 4 hay bales in the top center of the screen. That defines the left side of the green for hole 14.
Yesterday, Paige Pierce and Heather Young carded the birdies. Katrina Allen unfortunately found some OB here on hole 14 yesterday and walked away with a bogey. Heather Young played relatively simply, as we've seen before, and played it out for a par. Missy Gannon had several birdies yesterday, including the eagle on 10. She is struggling a bit today. She only has 1 on the day, and that was all the way back at hole 6. She birdied this yesterday. She really needs to continue to... She's not giving away strokes by bogeying, but she's not gaining anything on the rest of the card, and the women are slipping away from her.
I must admit, when I was looking at the caddy book before arriving here in Winthrop, I was slightly disappointed by this hole. It just didn't seem like it had that much personality, but when I got to the tee, I was delighted because it's a really interesting shot. I tried both an anhyzer on the left side and a couple of hyzers on the right side. I wasn't able to get the anhyzer to stop on the green.
Here is your leader, Paige Pierce. Similar round to yesterday. Lots of birdies. Only 1 blemish on the scorecard so far. And an eagle on 10. Difficult to see, but it is a darker blue if you focus. 5 more holes to go for the competitor, and she will be finished with round 2. It's going by so quickly. Heather Young, carding the only birdie on the previous hole, will be the first to tee off.
Taking the left gap as a lefty. Counterclockwise spin on the disc. She should be able to get this to stay in the basket.
It's a strong shot.
That is definitely in her comfort zone.
You can see into the future. That was exactly as you said. It's like you've been here before.
Now, if a righty were to throw that gap with clockwise spin and it lands the same way, it's probably rolling out of the circle.
Good movement from Paige's disc.
Yep.
Like how she plays that. She did that yesterday as well. Played it right before the path, giving it plenty of room to move. She knows the momentum will carry. She knows they keep the grass nice and short. She hits the path. She still has enough room. She can land and give herself a putt. Here's Missy Gannon. Hanging that out nice and wide as well. She seems pleased with that, to be putting for birdie from circle 1. And that was a similar shot to Paige's, but she hit off the pathway instead and just got even that much closer to the basket. Still can be a difficult putt given your natural height.
All of these women playing the hole very well. Kat left with the longest putt, but still inside the circle.
And that's a great shot of the fairway and all of the putts, besides Paige's, I think. Or, I'm sorry, all of the shots, including Paige's. You can see Heather is the closest. Absolutely incredible.
I'm surprised we can see the discs from the drone shot. That makes me giggle.
Nothing like a little high definition drone action. And now the challenge comes down to the putting green. Just to recap through some stats, Paige Pierce is 100% from the circle. Katrina Allen only at 67%. That's lower than she was at this point yesterday, but she does have an opportunity here to increase that stat. Heather Young, 80% from circle 1, exactly the same as how she started the day. Missy Gannon worked her way up into 90% from circle 1. I believe Katrina will be first to putt. As you said, she is the furthest out, though still inside the circle.
There is elevation on this. Well, not only is the basket raised, but the topography of the green makes this even more dramatic than it looks.
She's taking her time, choosing which part of the basket she wants to aim at. I want to say there was full commitment there, but it did seem like she was a bit nervous. Perhaps she pulled back just a bit.
She needed just a tiny bit more leg on that one.
Never taking a putt for granted.
Excellent.
Heather Young will take her second birdie in a row and continue to lead off the tee box going into hole number 15. Missy Gannon walks away with her second birdie of the day.
All right.
Hole 15. This is our second triple mando on the course. This is at par 4, 467 feet. Shots need to pass through the gate. The opening for this triple mando is fairly generous from the tee, given that they don't need to throw max distance to put themselves in a good position to approach. But we are getting close to the end of the round where physical and mental fatigue may be creeping in, both of which would make it harder to hit this line. The basket is inside of a grove of small trees. The trees are more dense on the right side of the basket than they are on the left. Here we have the top movers of round 2.
Oh, and Scoggins continuing to work herself up into position. She's currently tied for 4th. 4 down for the round. Unfortunate bogey on hole 13. Ellen Widboom staying right there as well. 4 down for the round. Heather Young with her birdie has brought herself up into the solo 3rd hottest round of the day thus far. And Ellen putting for birdie from circle 1 on hole 16. Juliana, you and I ran into Ellen on this hole during practice. Juliana and I walked the course just to try to get a feel for everything, and Ellen was out there practicing by herself, notepad in hand, taking notes.
It's paying off. She's doing exceptionally well today.
All of those hot rounds, but this so far is the hottest. Paige Pierce coming in with a 7 down so far for the 2nd day of the Women's National Championship, and what a memorable hole that was for her. Hole 10 with the tap-in eagle.
Yes, that is a drop-in eagle.
Again, just perfect on line. Fading out just so close to the edge of the hazard.
This was a remarkable drive. She took off enough distance that she was able to use a slow approach disc on her 2nd shot.
And it's so important. Pay attention at home, especially if you're new to the sport. The women, it's a little bit easier to see, but watch how she walks up straight right to her target and follows through. She did misfire there a bit, but
wow, I literally almost.
She just hung on to it a little bit too much, but that's exactly the way that you want to walk up on that drive, in my opinion. Just right to your target. Missy Gannon with a similar approach.
It can't help her nerves seeing Paige miss that Mando.
It can't, but it can be a reminder of what to commit to.
Exactly. Keeping it low, good line.
Full trust in the disc. Katrina in particular has talked a lot about walking up on a tee and setting yourself up for success. You can choose the right disc, put it on the right angle, give it the right oomph. But if you're walking up incorrectly...
Oh my goodness. Kat had pretty much the same missed line that Paige did, but hit a tree and ricocheted through the Mando. Well, if there is a bright side to Paige missing the Mando, it is that the audience gets to see the interesting placement of the drop zone. That was an uncharacteristic miss by Paige. I'm going to say that that was a little bit of a let up mentally.
Heather Young is off the fairway after 2 throws as well. One of them was OB, so she will be taking her shot from the drop zone as well.
So yeah, you're first.
She teed first, so she'll be going from the drop zone first. We looked at this, and it is tricky.
I think this is a really fun shot. Well, not fun because you're mad at yourself for missing the Mando, but just this shot in and of itself is very interesting to me. You've got those 2 trees that you need to miss about 50 feet off the fairway. And then you need to have it curve back left because the left side of the basket is where you want to approach. Fewer trees. Excellent. Excellent.
Well done.
Paige will try to emulate that, throwing a backhand.
A little too high.
Just looked like she had the line, but yeah, she just got it up a little bit.
She said she made that mistake yesterday on hole 16. She just let the wind get into her head a bit and overthrew it. She, if you can remember, she went too high.
Do. Yep, she threw a slow flying disc and it looked like she threw it a little bit too hard. Lost her line. Held on to it a bit long. Cat's probably going to throw a little bit of a low skipping hyzer shot here to try to get on the left side of the basket. I think that's a little wider than she wanted. This is where the women have probably practiced their approach shot from. This is where you hope and expect to be on your second shot, or throwing your second shot.
That looks nice and controlled.
Ideal.
And no contention with the trees. That is 100% ideal.
That's how you draw it up in your head.
Seeking looking to card another birdie in a row. Move herself below par for the event. The last birdie brought herself back to even. Currently tied for 6th. With Ellen Widboom and Sarah Holcomb.
That's 3 shots in a row from Paige that weren't what she wanted them to be.
Hole 15 playing as the 7th most difficult hole. Coming in just over par.
Good play.
Wow, I would like to get a closer look at that gap. That was a very demanding little approach shot there.
If anyone can handle it, it is Katrina. Currently 100% on the fairway. So very much in control of herself here at Winthrop. Heather Young putting for par from circle 1. Today has been all about the hip thrusts and the momentum that you can create without using much of your legs.
We have seen a handful of knee putts.
There must have been some sort of branch that she was trying to avoid.
Yeah, I think that just, she could visualize from there the shot that was needed, and standing up somehow took that visualization away. Page with 3 misfires and still only a bogey. Not too bad.
So women will make the walk from hole 15 to 16. We'll check out what's to be expected on that fairway going into day 2.
Hole 16, 342 feet, par 3. This pin is a little downhill from the tee. There is an inside gap with a straight flying shot that finishes a little right at the end. The pin is located inside a grouping of trees, so landing close to the basket is doubly helpful. There is hazard along the entire right side of the fairway that is about 10 meters from the pin. There's also hazard on the left that might come into play if somebody hyzers out on their drive.
Here is your Women's National Championship leaderboard. These women are finishing their rounds. Some of them are just starting to compete on hole 18. Haley King just finished 17, has got it. According to UDisc, she's thrown it in from 110 feet after finding the OB. Managed to take par on that hole. Bring herself back up into the top 10.
Sounds like that's similar to Kat Murch's approach from the drop zone on 17, where she found the chains.
Wonder if they had some sort of a meeting for young, new pro disc golfers, where they just said, you know what, on 17, if you're out of position, just throw it in. Just go ahead. I would have loved to have been invited to that. Hole 16 playing relatively easy today.
Hello again.
Here we see the third card making their way to the pin of 18. Actually, they're still putting out on hole 17.
That's right. Ellen with Boom is putting for birdie from circle 2. Good feeling to be on the green, putting away from the water.
Though those hay bales are awfully close to the basket. Yeah, she's not gonna bring the OB into play.
Ellen has moved up 5 spots today. It would be nice to continue to push. She is currently tied for Owen, but Owen has found the OB. So she'll be taking an extra stroke here. This is for her par save.
Yeah.
That's exactly what she needed to do.
That might be enough to put Owen on the lead card tomorrow. I'm sorry, Ellen. Ellen might be on the lead card tomorrow.
Fortunately, that was for bogey for Owen, but she was able to get it in the basket from somewhere around 38 feet.
Inside gap a little tight, but she may actually. Oh, goodness. Oh, that limb. I liked that line a lot. She's still putting.
When you're Missy Gannon, you're always putting.
She's going to have to come back, or she's going to be on the wrong side of that hazard line. As a righty throwing backhand, you really do need to flirt with that hazard line if you want to put it under the pin. She has controlled the angle on that quite well.
Will she be rewarded? She is. She's indeed safe to be putting for birdie from circle 1. Here's Paige Pierce coming off of a uncharacteristic hole 15. See how she recovers. Same disc choice as yesterday.
Better line than yesterday.
One of the reasons I would love to try being a spotter is for that right there. The enthusiastic green flag I feel has my name all over it.
My best memory of a spotter happened at the World Championships in Augusta, Georgia. There was a blind-ish hole that had a significant slope and there was water, so there was a lot of potential action and you couldn't see the disc from the tee, and the spotter basically did interpreted dance to tell you what your disc was doing. So there was a motion with you that it was rolling, and he would move his arms about the speed at which it was rolling, so you knew if it was almost ready to wobble and fall down.
Oh, great kick for Katrina, but a good line regardless. I love that communication.
There were people on that fairway just to watch the spotter.
See, that could be me someday. Missy Gannon with her birdie attempt. That's just fine. She will interrupt her birdie train by taking par on hole number 16, but given her reaction, she doesn't seem to mind too much, perhaps knowing she was out of position to begin with after her drive. Not a big expectation there.
This looks like an easy, straightforward hole, but it is deceivingly difficult. The basket is very protected.
Oh, damn it.
Heather Young for birdie from circle 1. Great commitment.
Nice to see that the tree that wasn't in her way physically, but might have been in her way mentally, didn't affect the shot.
And with that birdie, Heather brings herself closer to second place. Missy Gannon will be in for her par. And Paige Pierce will have a simple tap in.
What?
Get him out of here, Todd.
Who is that?
For those of you who are missing out on shopping this year at Winthrop because you're unable to attend, you can go to discgolfunited.com, where they have Women's National Championship and United States Disc Golf Championship stamped discs, patches, shirts, stickers, all sorts of things available for purchase. That's discgolfunited.com.
In this bird's eye view, you can see the bamboo gate, which is very recognizable.
According to this, Paige has taken over Katrina in every stat shown in both scrambles, circle 1 putting, circle 1 and circle 2 in regulation. Paige is currently 90% from the fairway. Katrina still has her there at 95%. Absolutely incredible numbers here at Winthrop. Katrina did unfortunately drop down. Well, she hasn't dropped down, but Heather has been able to catch up to her finally after all of these holes. Heather, of course, carding the birdie on hole number 16. Katrina walking away with a bogey after finding the out of bounds. Heather Young 3 down for the round. Katrina only at even. As we make the walk over to hole 17.
Here we have hole 17, 254 feet, par 3. Players looking to birdie this hole will have to be very precise on the height of their drives, as they have to throw high enough to clear the bales of hay, but low enough not to go in the water. The safer play is to aim for the wider part of the green, which is right of the basket. I think the sidearm layup to the right side of the green is a very nice option as well. OB shots will be played from a drop zone outside of the island along the water. If a player also goes OB from the drop spot, they proceed to the second drop spot, which is inside the island green.
And there you have it. Katrina and Heather tied up at second place. Ellen in solo fourth. Missy Gannon worked her way back up into fifth place, 1 spot away from where she started the day. But after her slow start, she's been able to card a couple birdies and keep herself scrambling well. When she finds herself out of position, she manages to take par.
I know.
It wasn't always the case that they had this long walk from 60 to 17.
Thousands of people.
On the right, you can see the trees in the wilderness area. That used to be green grass, and that used to be a hole right there.
Nice.
So they used to play this walk instead of walk this walk.
That was a long Missy candy over there.
Missy Gannon admitting in an interview that she found disc golf in 2015 but didn't love it at first. Her competitive nature held her back from loving it because she wasn't good at it right away. Throwing a disc was something she'd never done before, but the scene in Colorado was so strong that 1 year later she was playing her first event in rec. She said she played so well She ended up winning. In fact, if she had played in advance, she would have won that division as well. So now a few years and a few big wins later, she's competing here in the lead card. And that's just a further testament to how quickly these women have progressed in their game, both mentally and on the fairway. I'm interested to see how Paige Pierce is managing her expectations. We have seen her deviate from her plan just a bit today, throwing the roller and struggling on hole 15. I know she's not necessarily thinking of the rest of the pack, but she has her own personal goals that she's talked about a lot this year. How is she going to throw the infamous hole 17?
Yesterday, the lead card of women went to school on this hole. They were 3 under. We had 3 pretty easy birdie putts and 1 par, so it'll be hard to beat that.
Paige said she's throwing a fierce on this hole. So that is that lower speed driver that we keep. In fact, it's a putter. And that's just such a testament to her to be able to control the flight and put the power behind it. It gives her an advantage because it's such an easy disc to control.
One trick to throwing slower discs farther is to throw them higher.
Our lead women should be getting the all clear as Heather Young makes her way to the tee. Heather carding the only birdie out of the group on hole 16.
They are playing to the B pin, which is to the right of the pin that they played to yesterday. It's nice to be able to attack this with a backhand hyzer. Bit of a long putt, but she should be satisfied being right in the middle of the green. I suspect the next 3 shots will all be sidearms. She turned that too much. That is not going to get into the green. She will take her next shot from the drop zone that is outside of the green. Excellent. I was a little worried that was a little too low and that it might hit the top of the hay bale and not actually get into the green. Wow, that was exceptional. Missy will be taking a penalty shot, throwing from the drop zone. Probably means that she will not be on the lead card tomorrow. This is the spot that we almost saw Cynthia throw it in, and then we did see Kat Murch throw it in from yesterday, and based on the U-Disc live stats, it appears as if Haley King threw it in from this position today. A little wider than she wanted, but she's certainly safe on the green.
I believe we saw Katrina and Paige breathe a quick sigh of relief just seeing their placement and knowing they're on the green after their first shot. Heather Young as well. Here's her birdie attempt from circle one. Of course, her disc is the purple one.
Unfortunately, she is going to have to re-throw from right where she is standing. She threw that over the hay bale, so that is out of bounds. And special condition on this particular hold, all OB shots from on the green re-throw from exactly where they were.
Heather, of course, asking for clarification. I think this is coming as a little bit of a surprise to her, because it is different than what we're used to seeing out on tour.
That's the name of Winthrop's.
They don't know how to play it. I can hear the commentators in the background though. Commentators know.
Paige is most likely looking at the caddy book online. And I will read from the caddy book. Throws landing OB must throw again from the previous lie with a one throw penalty. That is, shots on the green. Throws landing OB must throw again from the previous lie.
Similar situation for Kona yesterday. She needed to go back and re-find her position. She had picked up her disc and her mini and moved away from her position thinking she could play from the green. Heather Young is 77% from circle one. This is right on the edge, and now she's putting for bogey, but just a bit of an overcorrection there from one side of the basket to the other.
Well, she might have been a little scared of that one after being bitten and not even known that she was bitten.
Absolutely. I see Gannon for bogey from circle one. Miss left. And I believe that miss just comes from fear of committing and going too far.
Kind of feels like she needed a little bit more momentum on that shot, but it's hard to put a lot of momentum on a shot where the OB is 5-8 feet behind the pin.
Paige Pierce comes in for her birdie from 16 feet. She'll take over the tee box on hole 18. And Katrina will come in for her birdie as well. With that, Heather will give solo second back to Katrina. Heather will find herself in solo third.
Here's a good look at the dock that they built specifically for this tee. Hole 18, 647 feet, par 5. 18's tee pad is built on the water. There is a bush in the edge of the water that players must throw around. For max distance, players will throw to the left of that bush, but the trick here is controlling the turn and the height combination so that it doesn't lose steam and fall off left in the OB tree line. A safer but tighter shot off the tee is to throw to the right of that bush and under the limb. There's less chance of OB here, but you're probably losing a little bit of distance. The most critical shot is the second and the third one, as you have OB both left and right, and it is a blind shot.
That was a great view from the drone of Paige lining up her shot.
This is the same thing she did yesterday. Yesterday she tailed off OB. Is she going to stay safe today? Looks like she once again trickled off into the OB. Good turn on that for Kat. I think she's going to be just fine. Excellent line for the lefty backhand. Once again, nobody takes my inside line.
I can't promise I would be on the lead card, but if I were to compete, I would give it a try. How about that? Well, joining us in studio right now is Ellen Woodboom. Ellen, unbelievable golf you played out there today. Started off slow, 1 over through 3, 6 down through the next 8 holes.
Okay.
I know you're just coming off your round, but did something click out there for you? I mean, lead us into the emotion of it all a little bit.
I just stuck to my game plan. I had a game plan from practice rounds and took notes. And I think I knew that I could shoot under par, and so that's what I went for. And I had a couple bogeys that were silly, and because bogeys are dumb, you know that. But yeah, I just stuck to the game plan, and it worked out.
Well, you're no stranger to Winthrop, but normally when you're here, you have a little bit of a different job. How does it feel competing at Winthrop this year?
It's surreal, but it's nice that the course is kind of giving back to me, I guess, like showing it some love over the years, so it's kind of giving the love right back. Yeah, it's surreal.
Paige Pierce was quoted yesterday as saying the difficult part of Winthrop is the course management. How did you feel you managed yourself and the course today?
Yep, 100% what I wanted to do. Even the bogeys, like they happened. So, yeah, I threw where I wanted to throw, and the wind was calm, and conditions are great. So yeah, it worked out really well.
We've got 2 more days, 36 holes. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you so much.
We'll
I appreciate
see you tomorrow.
All right.
This is that tricky blind approach where there is OB both right and left. Fairway sloping from right to left. That looks good.
Heather Young on the fairway after 2 throws. This is Katrina with her second shot.
Katrina got enough distance on her drive that she could potentially get on the green with this. But you got to be careful because
that is high.
As I mentioned, yeah, I think she's a little bit too high. Oh.
She's given a green flag.
This is a par 5. She has put herself in position to be putting for an eagle.
Paige Pierce with her second shot. Just shy of the OB.
Oh, Paige Pierce. Stick to the plan, bro.
Not only do we have all of the difficulties that I've mentioned before, OB right, left, blind, but there is also an elevation component. From where Paige was throwing, she was throwing significantly uphill as well. It's a little wider than she meant.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
If she chooses to go for that putt, it's an extremely scary one. There's no shame in laying that one up, though.
Beautiful, beautiful view of the fairway on 18. That might be a little bit more difficult to see if you're not on site or just watching from regular camera angles. Heather Young, the definition of quiet confidence. This is her third shot. She'll be looking to get it up into the green.
She's hoping to hit high of the green and have it skip down right underneath the basket.
It isn't right underneath it, but she still will have a look for birdie from circle 1. We're going to see where Paige ended up. According to UDisc and the spotter, she is OB in the fairway after 3 throws now. One of those counting as her OB stroke. I believe we overheard her just a bit say, "Stick to the plan, Paige," yesterday. That was one of her biggest faults she felt during the front 9. She deviated from the plan and carded a bogey.
That's a little long. Just a little more work to do on that one, more than she intended. This is the most treacherous green on the course. I also think it's the most beautiful, looking down over the water.
This is Paige putting for par from circle 2. And that is the challenge. She has chosen to run the putt to save par. As I said, she certainly has strokes that she can give away, but I know Paige, and I know she isn't going towards those strokes. She isn't worried about the rest of the field. She's worried about what she can do and her capabilities.
She's still having a great round, but I suspect when she is done with this round, she's going to be a little frustrated with herself because she's had 4 or 5 miscues. They haven't added a lot to her score, but they still hurt. If you could hear what Paige said there, she said, "Just so you know, I am inside the circle." That means that she cannot fall forward after she releases this putt. Wow. I'm sorry. I have no words.
I think she may have fallen forward just a bit.
No, she held it.
Oh, she did.
She held it. She did lean forward, but she balanced with her back leg, which was 25% of the reason I said wow.
Heather Young for birdie. Just like that, Heather Young will maintain her spot on the lead card going into tomorrow. 2 down overall for the round, 5 down for the event. Solo 3rd place. Katrina Allen for eagle from circle 1.
Exceptional.
Absolutely incredible.
There's not a man playing this weekend who wouldn't be extremely happy with the way that cat just played that hole.
Missy Gannon will find her par. Unfortunately, Missy Gannon has fallen down to tied for 7th place. Paige Pierce, of course, coming in with the hot round of the day, 6 under after carding the bogey even on 18. Tied for the second hot round is Ellen Widboom and Owen Scoggins, who are currently both tied for 4th. Sort of difficult because normally whoever has the hot round in a tie will make it onto the lead card. But of course, Ellen and Owen are tied for the lead card and their overall score.
So then it usually defers to the lowest PDGA number.
I'm still just getting myself together over all the amazing golf we played, but the one thing that sticks out to me, at least right now, is Paige deviating from her game plan when she said she wouldn't. And I think that just kind of comes with the nature of things for her. She's super competitive, and if she's competing with herself, she still wants to outplay even herself. And at Winthrop, if you try to be aggressive in situations where you shouldn't, or maybe you find yourself off of the fairway, or as we said in the beginning, a little bit out of position and having to scramble and make something up on the spot, it can be really challenging, and you can be bombarded with strokes for being off by inches.
She did have a few miscues at the end there, maybe as many as 5 or 6, but it didn't hurt her score that much.
Yeah, still coming in with a really, really hot round. Ellen Widboom, what a great interview with her. I'm really glad we got to touch base with her. She's been a little bit more low-key, staying in Florida, but so has Owen. Owen came out for the first time again, tried to hit some of the tour stops, and here they are going, head-to-head. One of them will be, I believe it will be Owen, but both of them will be very tight tomorrow, neck and neck. Some of the great shots that we saw from today. The weather was absolutely beautiful and really allowed a lot of these women to get their scores under par. Another big mover that we saw today was Missy Gannon just falling down the leaderboard. Unfortunately, that's not the direction you want to go. Jessica Weiss and Haley King making their way up into the top 10, and Kona Panis keeping herself tied for 7th, staying right where she was to start the day. Unfortunately, she has tied with Missy.
Here we get another look at Paige drop in eagle on hole 10.
We want to thank you all for joining us today at the Women's National Championship here on day 2. I'm Hannah Macbeth, joined by 5-time PDGA World Champion Juliana Korver.